All right, everybody. Thank you for your patience as we had some technical difficulties getting on stream here. But a sigh of relief as we are finally live for day four, the final day at the NCAA Outdoor Track Championships. It is the women's finals day, and we just saw the 4x100 meters on the track. Apologies for the delay in getting on. But it was USC who took the win in that women's 4x1. Very strong performance for the top three teams there. LSU with a strong run for second and Georgia in third. Thank you to those of you who were waiting patiently for us to get on here. We will now be live for the remainder of the meet here. 4x100 is in the books, but we've got the 1500 meters on deck here, scheduled to start in 2 minutes. BT Demers, thank you for the first live chat of the day. Says, let's go. Thank you for doing this. Enjoyed it. Been listening back through all your pods. Keep it up, man. Appreciate that so much. What a way to start the live chat tonight. We set a record on last night's live stream with the most live chats in one night. It was an electric men's finals day, and I think that the women's finals day here will be no different. But I really appreciate you going back to listen to our podcast episodes. We have 20 episodes with guests here on the channel, also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And we also go live for track action like we have today in the last 3 days. There's been 4 days in a row of NCAA action, and I have been losing my voice. Unfortunately, it hit me today. I'm going to have to conserve my voice a little bit, but I won't be able to help myself with some of the exciting finishes that I know are in store for these women's finals races, including 3 guests that we had on the show are competing tonight, and they all competed on Thursday for the semifinal rounds, and they're all competing again today. They all did great. So Elizabeth Whaley qualified here for this women's 1500, which is getting on the track now. So we will be cheering her on as she represents Wake Forest at the highest level here in the women's 1500 meter final. She will not have it easy, as these women here are the best of the best. 3 Oregon women qualify for this finals. They are no strangers to it. Wilma Nielsen, the favorite, I would say, in this event. She has been just a dominant miler and 1500 meter runner in the NCAA for the last couple years. So Wilma Nielsen, the favorite here at her home track, and Oregon has the potential to sweep the 1500 after Simeon Birnbaum won yesterday for the men. There's also Oregon Duck Shalana Yildiz in this race. She is a former NCAA record holder in the mile, so you cannot count her out. She's beaten Wilma Nielsen, her teammate, a handful of times as well. So those 2 Ducks are absolutely favorites here, as well as their teammate Juliet Cherubet. From other squads, we have 2 women from BYU, Carmen Alder and Carly Hansen. Salma Al-Badra is a certain threat for this NCAA title, representing South Carolina. And of course, the young freshman from NC State, Sadie Engelhart, a fan favorite for many, and she will be in the mix here as well. Immaculate Gemitai of Kansas, Tia Wilson of Florida, Rosemary Longisa of Washington State, and Haley Burns of Northern Arizona. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, Elizabeth Whaley earning a spot in the final with her 4:08 on Thursday to set a new Wake Forest school record and punch her ticket to the finals. She was a recent guest right here on our podcast. And we are seconds away now from the women's 1500 meters getting underway as they wrap up introducing the athletes who not only qualified for this NCAA championships, but also advanced out of a very competitive semifinal round in this 1500 meters. All in the Game 01, thank you for joining. This is your 4th consecutive day joining us here on the kick. You have probably noticed that my voice is struggling a little bit, as it has been a 4-day streak of a lot of exciting track action to be commentating, but I wouldn't have it any other way. All in the game said that USC just missed the 4x1 NCAA record. Yes, they were close. USC ran a phenomenal relay there in the 4x1 to take the win. And let's take a look at our first poll of the day. People are predicting that Oregon will win the team title, and they will need to run well in this women's 1500 if they are going to win this title today. So get your votes in for that, and then I will be putting a poll up for who you think will win this women's 1500 as we get underway here. Women's 1500 meter final underway in Eugene, Oregon. One of the premier events of the meet. On the game says you need hot water with lemon and honey. I tried that last night. I will be doing it again tonight. That was a good recommendation I got last night. So Wilma Nielsen going to lead early in this women's 1500. All in the game says no Georgia in the poll. I could only include 3 teams and an other option. Looks like there were some votes for other. But Oregon is the favored pick for our voters here, as I will wrap up that poll now so that we can get a poll for this 1500 meters. Yesterday, through the first 5 events, you guys predicted every winner in our polls. So that was pretty impressive. And then got, I think, 2 wrong for the remainder of the night on the men's side. But on the women's side today, let's get a poll going here as we're 400 meters into this women's 1500 final. So who will win the women's 1500 meter final? Will it be Wilma Nielsen? Will it be your teammate Salon Ayildiz? All right. Typing this up so fast, I might make a typo in the names, guys, but I just put the poll up. Man, I wanted to include all 12 of these women in the poll, but unfortunately only 3 options and another. Of course, I'll be kicking myself if Wake Forest's Elizabeth Whaley takes the win here, as she is a friend of the show. She was one of our recent guests here, and we are definitely rooting for her. As we continue in this race, Wilma Nielsen continues to lead. Tia Wilson moving up on the outside. Haley Burns of NAU also moving up. All these women jostling for position here. But it's one of those races that really comes down to the last 400 meters. It did yesterday for the men, as Simeon Birnbaum just absolutely floored it in that final lap and opened up a gap of more than a second on the field. We'll see if the women are similar as we are approaching the bell lap. And this is when things are going to get interesting, folks. Wilma Nielsen still leading. But going into the bell, it is Rosemary Longisa taking the lead. So Rosemary Longisa with a decisive move to pass the home crowd favorite Wilma Nielsen. Will Nielsen have an answer? Haley Burns in a strong position for NAU, running in 3rd right now. And it is another Oregon Duck, Juliet Cherubet, who is moving up now. She'll pass Haley Burns. But Rosemary Longisa continues to lead here. 200 meters to go. Salma Al-Badra moving up. But Rosemary Longisa still holding a commanding lead. What does Wilma Nielsen have to answer here on her home track? It's not looking like she'll have enough to pass Longisa as we enter the home stretch. It's Rosemary Longisa of Washington State. Salma Al-Badra making a strong move on the outside, but she won't have enough to catch Longisa as Rosemary Longisa becomes the NCAA champion here in the women's 1500. Strong run from Salma Al-Badra of South Carolina to move her way up into second. But Rosemary Longisa takes the win here in 4:12. Congratulations to Rosemary Longisa taking the win here. Wow. So Rosemary Longisa takes the win in the women's 1500 meters, guys. I would say that is a bit of a surprise and a bit of an upset. The Oregon women still run strong as Wilma Nielsen and Juliet Cherubet go 3-4. I believe Cherubet actually passed Wilma Nielsen there for third as Nielsen takes fourth. Shalana Yildiz does not crack the top 8 for an All-American spot as she falls to 9th. Haley Burns, who was in a great position all race, fell to 10th. So Rosemary Longisa takes the win with Salma Al-Badra in second, Juliet Cherubet in third, Wilma Nielsen in fourth, Carly Hansen in fifth, Immaculate Gemtai in seventh, Tia Wilson in eighth, Immaculate Gemtai in sixth, Tia Wilson in seventh, and Carmen Alder in eighth. So some points there for the Oregon Ducks, but I think they would have liked a little bit more than that. So you all were right in our poll, voting somebody other than the 3 athletes I included. Rosemary Longisa takes the win, and now let's catch up with your live chats. BT Demmer says, All in the Game is the #1 track fan, doesn't miss a Let's Run pod. These broadcasts, if there's All in the Game, if there's track, All in the Game is there. Well, I really appreciate All in the Game adding the kick to their rotation, as we love having legit track fans here on the kick, and All in the Game has been an incredible asset to our live chats for this entire NCAA championships, with a lot of insightful comments and our #1 chatter overall. So thank you to All in the Game 01. Bailey says, rip Sadie Engelhart. Yeah, she's just a freshman, so, you know, not what she was looking for, falling back to 11th, but we know she has more in the tank, and she's got a bright future ahead of her. A really tough women's 1500 meter field to navigate this year, really competitive, and something's got to give, right? All 12 of those women ran phenomenal semifinal rounds to get here, but once you get to the final, only one can win, and that was Rosemary Longisa today. All in the Game 01 says Rosemary Longisa and Salma Al-Badra had the 2 quickest times coming in. So the cream did rise to the top here, as it favored the fastest PRs, or the fastest times this season, I guess, coming in. Salma Al-Badra certainly has a lot of talent and speed, and I think it was just a question of how she would fare, being a little less experienced than some of the Oregon runners and, you know, some of the others in this field, but that didn't matter. She was able to pass both Juliet Cherubet and Wilma Nielsen in that home stretch. So well done for Salma Al-Badra. So next up on the track will be the 3K steeplechase, everybody. And this is an event that we are very excited about here on The Kick. The first woman that we ever had as a guest on the podcast was Sophie Novak of Notre Dame. And she is now in contention for an NCAA title. So we are really excited about that. She won't have it easy, as her ACC rival, Angelina Napoleon, will be making things very difficult here in the 3K steeple, as well as a stacked, loaded field of women who earn their spot here on Thursday. Lone Gunman Prod says, All in the Game is a true track fan. He's in the comments of every YouTube video. We love to hear that, because That means that All in the Game is choosing to be here as well on the kick, and that means a whole heck of a lot. You could be anywhere right now, but joining us here on the kick means a lot. We have had more than 10,000 people tune in over the last 4 days, bouncing in and out over the last few days of the live stream. So that is a pretty cool number to have hit. And let's see if we can set a single day record here on the kick. For the women's finals day, we had over 4,000 join us for the men's finals yesterday. So that is the number to beat here today. Bailey is back. Bailey says, as a New England native, I'm rooting for Sydney Mascarelli. Very cool. Yes, Sydney Mascarelli had a really strong high school career. I don't want to say disappeared a little bit over the last few years, but hasn't been a superstar in the way she was in high school until now, as she reclaims her spot at the top. She looked great in that steeple on Thursday. She had the easier heat, I would say, to navigate, but she will join Angelina Napoleon, Sophie Novak, and the other qualifiers for this women's 3K final here in just a moment as the ladies take the track now. Let's get a poll going here for the women's 3K steeple. Who will win the women's 3K steeple? As they are now showcasing Sophie Novak on screen. Love to see that. Go, Sophie, go. Sophie Novak, Angelina Napoleon, and I would say Sydney Mascarelli are the three favorites. So the poll is now live. Leave your votes on the poll for this women's 3K steeplechase as we are less than a minute away from this one getting underway. Already votes pouring in for Sophie Novak. Love to see that. I won't hide my bias here as the women get underway here in the women's 3K steeple. Sophie Novak out like a rocket. She wants to lead this thing, and she is getting out fast to make sure that she has control of the lead. And she will own that position without a doubt. Assertive move from the veteran of Notre Dame. Let's catch up with this live chat. A lot of people predicting that Deja Hodge could break the world record today. That would be crazy in the 100. We will see. On the Game says Novak and Lovell easily have the two fastest times coming in. Yeah, I wouldn't count out Angelina Napoleon, though. She is coming back from an Achilles injury, and she has just been looking better and better for the past few weeks. So it's going to be a battle here in this women's 3K steeple. Thank you for everybody contributing in the live chat. Your comments go a long way. BT Demmer says Hayward has been pretty wild for time, catching a lot of heat, but I think it's just a combination of a lot of factors. A lot of the sprints have been really fast this meet, with a lot of records going down. So that's been cool. Over another water jump here. Sophie Novak and Angelina Napoleon lead together side by side. They are basically sharing this lead here, but I like that Novak has the inside position, running a little bit less distance than the NC State athlete on her right. These are rivals of the ACC. Novak took the ACC title earlier this year, but both these women are laser focused on a national title now here. So early goings here, Sophie Novak leading with Angelina Napoleon right on her shoulder. Sydney Mascarelli in third, and Taylor Lovell in fourth. So pretty much exactly what we would expect here in the early stages. 6 laps to go here in the women's 3K steeple. So everybody keep those votes coming for your predictions for this women's 3K steeple here, as we are still in the early stages. Just 3 minutes into this women's 3K steeple. Sophie Novak in control, looking relaxed here. So that is what we like to see. All right, so they are showing some other events right now as they update us on the discus and some other field events, and we will be back to the 3K action on the track momentarily. So we're just waiting for them to get back to the women's 3K steeple here, where they have about 5 laps to go, but they are updating some discus throws right now. It looks like a Florida athlete had a great throw, and that will definitely help them on their way to a higher team score. Looks like a Florida athlete set a meet record in the discus, so congrats to that athlete. Leslie Knowles says, good evening, sports enthusiasts. This is the day. Big day for sports here, so I appreciate those who are tuning in here for the NCAA Outdoor Track Championships. Not only do we have the World Cup going down, but we also have the NBA Finals Game 5, which is about to start. And I know that is a big one too. I'll be checking in on the score of that game. Interested to see if the Knicks wrap it up or if the Spurs can win one here in San Antonio tonight. All right, we are finally back to the women's 3K steeple. 5 minutes into this race, and Sophie Novak continues to lead. Commanding lead, an assertive lead for Sophie Novak. She knows what she wants here today, and that's an NCAA title, and she's going to keep herself in the position to get that. Angelina Napoleon right on her shoulder, though, looking strong in second, with Taylor Lovell in third and Sydney Mascarelli in fourth. Lone Gunman Prod says, looks 10 degrees hotter than yesterday. Those distance runners are going to be suffering. Yeah, especially in these early events. It definitely looks like these 3K steeple runners are hurting a bit. A lot of athletes have kind of dropped back in a bit of a gap, and I think that is more so due to the heat than due to the pace. Andrew says, hi, Will. Wish we wouldn't miss some of the drama and moves in the big races when they cut away. I agree. They tend to do this in the steeplechase and the 10K and 5K. They cut away. Luckily, this time they didn't go to commercial. They were just updating the field events, and I understand that they have to do that, and the field events deserve their moment as well. But you would wish that they would do that in the ample time that they have between track events. Every track event has like 5 to 10 minutes in between on the finals day, so they have plenty of time to update the field events then. But nevertheless, no complaining here, as we are 6.5 minutes into this women's 3K steeple final, just a few minutes away from crowning an NCAA champion. And right now, it's exactly as expected, as Sophie Novak and Angelina Napoleon lead the way. You can tell that they are suffering a bit in the heat. Sydney Mascarelli is dropping back now, guys. So it's not looking too great for Sydney Mascarelli's chances here, as Taylor Lovell still hangs on to those top two. Sophie Novak looks to be trying to open up a gap on Angelina Napoleon here, but is struggling to do so. Strong running, though, from Novak. Proud to see her succeeding at this level. We talked about her ability to take on the NCAA championships months ago when we had her on the podcast, and now here she is going after an NCAA title. And our poll is favoring Sophie Novak for the win. All in the game. I like your idea of the picture-in-picture split screens, keeping 2 events on the screen at once. A lot of other sports do that, so it'd be cool to see that. And now Angelina Napoleon is dropping off a little bit. She falls to 3rd. Sophie Novak remains in the lead as Taylor Lovell tries to stick with Novak. So Sophie Novak looking strong here as she tries to pick up the pace. Final lap here for the women's 3K steeple. Taylor Lovell trying to stick with Sophie Novak, who has led this whole thing. Angelina Napoleon has fallen off, and it looks like it's going to be a 2-woman race here between Sophie Novak and Taylor Lovell. 300 meters to go in this women's 3K steeple. Taylor Lovell making a strong move now here to try to drop Novak. BYU's Taylor Lovell looking good going into the final 200 meters. She's overtaken Sophie Novak, who led this whole race. Sophie fighting to remain in it. Over the final water jump, Taylor Lovell opening up a gap. Sophie Novak with a valiant effort in 2nd. But it looks like it will be Lovell taking the win here in the women's 3K steeplechase. Congratulations to Lovell, and congratulations to Sophie Novak, who led this whole race in a very hot day in Eugene, Oregon. Taylor Lovell takes the win. Sophie Novak holds on to 2nd, the first woman ever to guest on the kick. Congratulations to Sophie Novak. So proud of the Notre Dame 5th year who ends her NCAA career with a strong runner-up finish at the NCAA championships. Taylor Lovell takes the win for BYU as her coach Diljit Taylor goes absolutely crazy on the sidelines. All right, everybody. So congrats to Taylor Lovell. Shout out to Sophie Novak for an incredible career in the NCAA. We will be seeing more from her on the pro scene for sure. Just a really gritty effort from Novak to lead this whole thing on a hot day in Eugene. You could see that she was fighting to try to stay with Lovell in those final moments. And she fought so hard. But Taylor Lovell had enough left to gap her at the end after running in the 2nd and 3rd position for most of the race. So your final results, Taylor Lovell takes the win for BYU in 9:21. Sophie Novak runs 9:26 for 2nd. Cynthia Gematai of Alabama moves up to 3rd to pass Angelina Napoleon, who was your 4th place finisher. Sydney Mascarelli back in 9th, out of All-American position. Caitlin Stewart Barnett of Michigan State was 5th, and Kate Putnam, the NC State teammate of Angelina Napoleon, she ended in 6th place, so a strong run for her. Kate Putman, NC State's sophomore teammate of Angelina Napoleon. All right, guys, what do we think in the chat there? I'm a little disappointed. Was really hoping Sophie Novak could come away with a NCAA title, but you know what? 2nd place is incredible at this level. The door opened when Doris Lemongold did not take the line for this women's 3K steeple, but congrats to Taylor Lovell. Maybe we'll have to have Lovell on the kick as well. We've had some great steeplechase athletes on the show. All right, so PT Demmer says, have to drink if the announcers say, well, good thing they get to jump in water. Conditions are brutal. That's funny. Yeah, I don't think the water jumps of the steeplechase do very much to help these athletes cool down. I feel like it might make things worse being constantly seeing that water pit every time you come around and wishing you could submerge in it. Whobita88 says, most people's ego won't let them admit it, but the world record is on world record watch for the women's 100-meter race. Well, we'll have that coming up in just about 2 events, so we will see if that ends up happening. That would be crazy. We've already seen one world record go down in this year's NCAA Championships. Could we see another? All in the Game says, like the 1500 meters, looking like the 2 with the fastest times coming in are going to be the top 2 in the steeple. Yeah, it was Novak and Lovell, the 2 fastest in the women's 3K steeple. All right, guys. Well, we are commercial break here on the TV broadcast. I'm watching on ESPN2, and I thank you for joining us here for our live commentary and reactions. We try to bring the highest energy possible here on the kick. My voice is suffering a little bit, but I've got my hot water with honey and lemon juice here, following the advice of you all in the chat from yesterday. I'm hoping that that does the trick. Still really hot. Appreciate everybody for tuning in, and we have 1 new subscriber so far tonight, so feel free to subscribe. It's free to do so, and hit the thumbs up, like button so that our show can get out to more track and field fans and more runners out there. Next up on the track, we will have the 100-meter hurdle final, an exciting event, and that will be coming up right after these commercial breaks. There are these commercials here on this break. Feel free to leave a comment in the live chat right now. All in the Game 01 leads the chat for the 4th consecutive day. Appreciate that. So congrats to Sophie Novak, our Kick Podcast alum who gets runner-up at the national championships. I know she'll be a little disappointed as her goal has been national champion for a while. Definitely listen to our podcast episode with her. It is our most popular episode to date. Might have to have her back on if she is willing to join us again as she makes the transition from her collegiate career to her pro career. It would be great to have Sophie back on the show. Angie says, when is your next live? Have you got a bit of time to recover? Thanks for your stellar commentary. Man, can I pin that comment? Can you pin comments here? No, I can only report or block, and I'm definitely not going to do that. That is so kind of you, Angie. I do my best. I don't have any plans for commentary and live streams yet. I usually kind of play these by ear as my schedule is very up in the air right now as I figure things out post-grad. But yeah, it's been fun to be able to live stream when I can, and basically when I have the opportunity to go live for a track meet, I do it. But definitely follow along on the Instagram at the Kick Podcast on Instagram, where I like to update when we are going live. As a matter of fact, that reminds me, I should post that we are live right now for today's meet. I did not end up reminding everybody on the story, so let's do that now. As we return to the action in Eugene, and they're introducing the athletes for this 100-meter hurdle finals. Hang with me here as I enter just a quick post here on the story. All right. Maybe let's, you know what, let's focus on this 100-meter hurdle finals before I do any posting. Short film documentary project says, greetings from Spain, just joining. Hope your throat is better with water, lemon, and honey. Jamaican in the house again. Yeah, I am. My voice feels a little weaker, but than it has. But I think that the hot water, lemon and honey is helping. I've got it right here, right now. So thank you for the advice there. Women's 100-meter hurdles taking the line right now. And we are moments away from crowning another NCAA champion as the women are in their blocks. Oregon counting on McCormick to get some points here and potentially the win. As the women are off here, women's 100-meter hurdles underway. McCormick of Oregon looks to be off to a strong start, in a great position to win over the last hurdle in the lead, and she will finish strong through the line. McCormick grabs 10 points and an NCAA title for the Ducks. So it is the home crowd favorite here. Aaliyah McCormick running 12.47 to win the 100-meter hurdles. And she is already in tears of joy here. Congratulations to Aaliyah McCormick. 12.47 for the win. And Emmy Scales of Kentucky is also thrilled with her performance. A 12.69, which resulted in second place, a runner-up for the Kentucky Wildcat. So I'd say your two favorites, Aaliyah McCormick and Emmy Scales, do go 1-2 here. Celeste Polzanetti, who I believe set the Italian national record in the semifinals, she runs 12.79 for third. So a great 100-meter hurdle final here. As Hayward is hopping right now, realizing that they have a realistic shot at taking the team title here. It won't be easy, but they are in the lead as more than half of events have been scored here. 11 out of 21 events have been scored. Now, interesting thing here, it looked like Kentucky's Emmy Scales fell at the line, but was still able to finish in second. Only concern here might be that if her fall obstructed the runner in the lane next to her when she kind of fell out of her lane, I think they're going to have this under review, but hopefully for Emmy Scales, her effort remains worthy of that runner-up finish. All right, let's catch up with the live chat here. Oh, a lot of recommendations on when to go live, so I appreciate that. We have USA Championship. Yeah, so USA Championship, guys. Figure I break this news now. It's not official yet, but I've applied for a credential for the USA Championships, as I'm not too far from where it's being hosted, as I'm in Jersey right now. It's only about like an hour away, I think. And if we get media credentials approved, I'll be there in person. So I don't think I'll be able to do a live stream, but I will be able to talk with the athletes post-race, which is where I got my start in this space. I represented Sidious Mag and the Stride Report in the mixed media zones post-race for interviews and did a lot of social media with those companies. So maybe we go in person to USA's, guys. That'd be pretty cool. All in the Game says you should try to do this for the Prefontaine Classic in 3 weeks. Yeah, it'd be cool to go live for the Pre-Classic. I'll look into that. So they're re-showing Emmy Scales falling over the finish line here. She did fall into the way of the UCLA athlete Celeste Polzanetti, but Polzanetti still finishes in third, so I feel like it didn't really affect the race outcome. If Polzanetti had fallen back from her third place position, it would be a different story, but I think this should stand. Hopefully it does. On the game says, or short film documentary project rather says, greetings from Spain, just joining. Hope your throat is better with. Oh wait, I already saw that. I already saw that comment. Sorry, I'm losing track of what I've read in the live chats, but yes, throat is doing a little bit better. Thanks for joining for Spain. I know it is a crazy hour there, so really appreciate you tuning in. JW says in July. Yeah, USA is in July. I think we're exactly a month out. Stick Mania says, remember the 4x1 gets heated for the 100 meters. All in the game says she defends her title. Oregon on team title watch. Yeah, McCormick defends her title, and now Oregon is in a really good spot to try to win this meet. Paulette says, waiting on the women's 100 sprint. Let's go, Adasia. That's coming up in just a couple of minutes here. Scheduled start is in 2 minutes for the 100-meter final here on the women's side. Stickmania says, I hope you got the ginger juice, bro. Dark Lynn says, big ups to Scales for finishing second despite falling. Yeah, luckily her fall happened right at the finish line. And she looked to be okay. So glad that that didn't affect her finish. Hopefully she's not DQ'd here as they still have it under review. I don't see any reason to DQ her. She did fall out into the lane in front of Polzanetti, but Polzanetti still finished in third, so it really didn't affect the finish order at all. BT Demers saying that the Ducks are getting a lot of points here right now as they got a bunch in the 1500 and now 10 in the 100 hurdles, so that's definitely a big opportunity for the Ducks to try to go after this team title. All in the game says, once again, the two with the fastest times coming in are the top two in the final. Yep. All right. How did Tashina Alasa of Southern University do in the 100-meter hurdles? Thank you for your comment, Perry White. Unfortunately, she was last, but she made it this far and qualified, so congrats to her. But yeah, she took last place in that. Nothing to sneeze at, though, in the NCAA finals. Wind reading, I'm not sure, guys. I think it was definitely legal. Let's check. It was plus 1.2. So legal there. BT Denver says, who is the dream interview from USA's or possible podcast guest? I don't know. You guys let me know who is the dream interview. Before my time here on the Kick, I had some pretty big time interviews while representing Citius Mag and the Stride Report. I interviewed Olympic gold medalist Cole Hocker. I went to Boston University. I was a student athlete there. So I got to interview a lot of people at our home meets. But I interviewed Cole Hocker there after one of his 5K races, and that was pretty cool. I've interviewed Parker Valby like 12 times because she just always was winning while I was representing the Stride Report, and my job at the national championships was to interview the winners. So all of my most viral interviews with the Stride Report are with Parker Valby. So those are pretty cool. But I don't know who my dream interview is. I don't know. I'd love to interview any of these phenomenal athletes at the top of the track world. And yeah, it'd be pretty cool to be out at USA's. Short film documentary project says, congrats, you will do awesome there. You are a natural, very talented. Wow, I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, I really hope that they approve my credentials. I literally just submitted the application, so we shall see, but feeling pretty good about it. I worked at the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix a couple months ago, and that was the first time that I represented the Kick as my outlet, so that was cool to represent my own podcast there. Prior to that, I was always working as a freelancer for the big boys, the big dogs like Citius Mag and the Stride Report. Coolest Eagle 5 says, who's ready for the 100? Certainly I am. Let's get a vote going here for who will win the 100 meters, as we are just moments away from that getting underway. Who will win women's 100 meters? All right, let's get this up quick as We are just seconds away from the women's 100 meters getting underway. All right. All right, guys, poll is live for who will win the women's 100. Hopefully I didn't make any typos in there. I typed it up really fast. On the Game of One says, did you get paid for working for Sidious Mag and Stride Report? I did. Not a whole lot, but that's how it is. But great experience working with both of them. They're both awesome. They are both very awesome, and I was able to be in person at the NCAA Championships, outdoors and indoors, the last couple of years. And they covered all the flights and hotels. It was Airbnbs, but flights and lodging, and that was pretty awesome. Watch my vlogs of those experiences on my personal YouTube channel. It's just my name, Will Loggia, and you can see what my experience was like out there. All right, women's 100 meters, guys, is on the track. They are in the blocks and they are on their marks. Get your votes in for who you think is going to win. And these women are off to the races here. Women's 100-meter final. Who's it going to be? A lot of bold predictions for a world record here, but it is very tight here. And it looks like it's going to be Florida State taking the win, guys. So Shanice Walker with a bit of an upset there, running 10.88 for the win. Congrats to Shanice Walker. She really has had a great season, so I don't know why everybody was sleeping on her, me included. Adeja Hodge places second, but it was Shanice Walker with the win. Shanti Jackson of LSU in third. Wow. So a really close race here, guys. Not a runaway by any means, but Shanice Walker holds off Adeja Hodge. Pretty cool for the FSU athlete to be able to take down an athlete like Adeja Hodge, and she was so hyped coming through that finish line. Congratulations to Shanice Walker. Crown her the champion and the fastest woman in the NCAA this year as she wins the 100-meter final. 2026 NCAA Outdoor Championships. So a bit of a surprise here as Hodge doesn't win. Everybody voted for Hodge in our poll, but it was Shanice Walker who, I mean, I'll admit it, I was sleeping on her. So a lot of Jamaica fans in the chat. Love to see that. Support from Jamaica for Shanice Walker. Really big moment for you guys. Congratulations. Kevin 10D says wind is 0.0. Yeah, for the women's 100 meters, it was 0.0 wind. All right, guys, we have nearly 100 viewers watching now. We're at 80, so continuing to thrive here on the kick. Thanks to your live comments in the live chat. That really helps keep this thing chugging along, as well as your thumbs up, likes. If you can hit that thumbs up button, it takes next to no time. It's free. Really no reason why not. And we are currently at just 8 likes. So I think we can do better than that as we have 80 people watching right now. Just hit that thumbs up button, guys. It's easy. It's free. A lot of Jamaica fans in the chat right now. Jadyn Wollaston, KS Walker, Ferguson 9420, all supporting Jamaica as Shanice Walker takes the win in the 100. That is a big moment for the country of Jamaica, known for incredible 100-meter sprinters over the years. Add Shanice Walker to the list as she takes an NCAA title as an upset. Talia Duncan says, what's the time? I assume you mean the winning time for the women's 100 meters. It was 10.88 for Shanice Walker. But if you're asking the time of day, it varies based on where you are in the world. Where Oregon the host site of this event is, it is currently almost 6 p.m. It is 5:59 p.m. there, but I'm on the East Coast where it is 8:59 p.m. Track and field JA 7820 says Jamaica, boom. Yeah, awesome race for Jamaica. Short film documentary project. Thank you for your support in the chat and encouraging everybody to leave a like. That is much appreciated. I do my best here. We're almost to 100 viewers right now live in the chat, so pretty cool. If you keep those thumbs up likes coming, it'll help more people find this live stream as we prepare to commentate the highly anticipated 400 meters, which is the next event on the track. But appreciate everybody for joining, not just today, but we've had repeat viewers over the past few days. We've been live, so that's been awesome. For those of you who were curious about the experiences I've had representing Citius Mag and the Stride Report, I will drop a link in the chat to one of my vlogs from last year representing the Stride Report in Eugene, Oregon. Had a blast, was able to go out there with a couple of high school teammates of mine, so that was a really cool full circle moment for us. We ran together in high school and then got to see Tracktown USA together and enjoy that. Honestly, a lot of the video is just us messing around Oregon, so prepare yourself for that if you watch, but it was fun. It was a good time. OZNE says, that's why I voted other. How did you leave out Shanice? I know, guys. Bad poll maker from me today. I left out the winner of the women's 100 in the poll. I don't know. I just felt like I had to include Adeja Hodge, of course, as the favorite. And then I went with Brianna Selby because her anchor leg in that 4x1 to take the win for USC was so good earlier. I was like, all right, Brianna Selby's got to be included in this 100 meter. But maybe she was a little fatigued from that 4x1. I don't know. She did not do too well in the individual 100. But still, credit to Brianna Selby for a great anchor leg to take the win for USC. And then I think I put in Gabrielle Matthews of Florida just because Florida desperately needs the points right now if they want to win the team title. But I don't think it's looking very good for Florida now because Matthews wasn't very high up there. And they don't have a ton of people still competing. But, you know, Florida's still in third place in the team standings, so they have a chance. But I'd say the home team, Oregon, is in a better spot than them right now. Also, can you imagine if BYU were to take the win? They're in second right now, and they could potentially get up to 10 points in that 5K from Jane Hedengren alone. Not to mention the fact that they have some other athletes still competing, but of course they are a distance-focused school, so it would be pretty crazy if they were to win the team title through kind of the distance events. I don't think it'll happen, but just saying. Short film documentary project says, hope Jamaica breaks the 400 meter record today. Well, we're about to find out, guys. We are 1 minute away from the start of the women's 400 meter final. Thank you for tuning in here on The Kick. We are going to have an absolute blast watching this 400 meters. Let's get a poll going before this thing gets started. Who will win the women's 400 meters? All right, we've got a stacked field here for the women's 400 final. All of these athletes earned their way to the final, of course. All right, so poll going live now. And leave your vote for who you think is going to win the women's 400. If I didn't include the athlete in the poll who you think is going to win, be sure to leave in the chat who you're predicting, because I can only include 4 options, and that means 3 athletes in the other option. Hubert88 says Shanice Walker and Hodge have been going back and forth all season. Walker came out on top when it mattered. Yep. I think everybody values the NCAA title more than anything. So congrats to Shanice Walker for winning when it mattered most. Leslie Knowles says maybe Hodge went too hard in the 4x1, not taking anything from Walker. Yeah, that could be, honestly, that could be the 4x1, Adasia Hodge, and Adasia Hodge did run a strong leg, so there could potentially be fatigue there, as I noted earlier with Brianna Selby of USC, who ran the phenomenal anchor for USC to take the win. So that definitely could have played a role. All right, guys, get your votes in for who you think will win the 400 meters as we are seconds away from the start. Women are set, and they are off here as the women's 400-meter final is underway. A lot of supporters from Jamaica here, and a lot of people sharing their support for Oakley, who is our favorite now in the vote. 82% of you voting that Oakley will win this 400 meters. 200 meters in here, we're going to see on this final turn who emerges from the stagger looking the strongest. And Oakley looks strong here for Georgia, but she will be in a battle with Madison White coming down the home stretch. It's USC's Madison White and Georgia's Dejania Oakley in a battle. It's going to be Oakley opening up just enough of a lead to take the win here. So the Georgia senior gets the NCAA win here in a collegiate record time of 48.79. A new NCAA record set by just a tenth of a second for Oakley in a phenomenal run. She's smiling as she realizes that she just set an NCAA record en route to her NCAA title here. Credit to USC's Madison White. These two women were pushing each other all the way to the line. Madison White, valiant effort, definitely forced Oakley to run her absolute hardest, which allowed for an NCAA record here, guys. So congrats to Oakley as the chat goes wild supporting Oakley and Jamaica. 48.79 for the new NCAA record. Let's hear it in the chat. Congratulations to Oakley. 48.79, guys. That's a ridiculous time. A lot of Jamaica fans in the chat. Congratulations to your countrywoman, Oakley, who represents Georgia here in the States right now and sets a collegiate record. So Jamaica making a statement back to back. Shanice Walker wins the 100. And Dejania Oakley takes the 400. So Jamaica staking their claim here in the NCAA sprints. Jamaica is rocking, says Short Film Documentary Project. Track and Field JA says, let's go D. On the game says Madison White pushed Oakley all the way. Yeah, credit where it is due for Madison White there, guys. Madison White honestly looked like she had a shot at winning this thing going into the home stretch as they re-show it. And she pushed Oakley all the way to the line. Congrats to both of those women. Just to recap here, it was two women running under 49 seconds. A PR for Madison White in second to dip under 49, running 48.97. And even in third, Valcourt of the Tennessee Volunteers runs 50.16 to set a PR. So great pick by everybody there in the kick. 80% voted that Oakley would win, and she delivers. Hector Brown says congrats. Ripton Edwards says go Jamaica. Michael Williams says won Jamaica the Sprint Factory. George Doug says Jamaica on fire in athletics. Congrats, Oakley. Track and Field JA says cheering Gabby Matthews on for the 202. Will be difficult to beat Hodges, but we will still be cheering her on. Thank you to everybody chiming in the live chat. This is an absolutely popping live chat tonight. I think we could set a record for most live chats in tonight's live stream as we surpass 100 viewers currently in this live stream. So thank you to everybody who is tuning in. Feel free to chime in the live chat as we are between events here. We just wrapped up the 400 meters and one of my favorite events coming up next. It is the 800 meters. We saw a phenomenal 800 on the men's side yesterday with Colin Solomon running an incredible home stretch to pass the Arkansas duo for the win in the 11th hour. 800 on the women's side promises to be just as exciting. Haley Kitching looking for revenge after not making the final indoors due to a fall. She is determined to go after this NCAA title, but she will not have it easy as Michaela Page of UNC has experienced winning the 800 at this level. Juliet Whitaker, as experienced as they come in this event. And of course, the favorite, Sanu Jallow. How do I even make a poll for this one, guys? I have to include Juliet Whitaker. I have to include Haley Kitching, Michaela Page, and Sanu Jallow. I don't think I'm going to have room for another option here, but of course, somebody else could win. But let's get the poll up for the women's 800 here. Thank you to everybody tuning in from Jamaica. We also have someone tuning in from Spain. That is pretty incredible. So thank you to the global audience here on The Kick. If you're new here, my name is Will Loggia. I'm the host of this podcast. We've had 20 episodes with guests, and we've also done a boatload of these live streams. So scroll through. You probably wouldn't want to watch a live stream when it's not live, but scroll through to see our episodes with guests. They are pretty unique. Each one has a special story with a special athlete. It's been just so cool to hear their stories. So there's my plug for the podcast. Check it out here on YouTube or on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. Yeah, so All in the Game says Gladys is a dark horse too. And that's crazy that Gladys Chepnogorich isn't even one of the favorites. She won indoors. Come on. All right. Who will win 800 meters? They need to start allowing for more options in these polls. You can only have 4 options, and I hate it. All right, guys, poll going up now for the 800 meters, which is scheduled to go off in just a couple of minutes here. Actually, it's scheduled to go off, yeah, in 2 minutes. So we are moments away from the women's 800. All right, I hate this, but the poll that I am putting up for the women's 800 doesn't have another option. So if you think somebody else, just leave it in the comments. If you think someone else, but I had to include these 4 women. So leave your thoughts in the chat or in the poll. I can't believe that I'm not including Gladys Chepnogorich in this poll, considering she has won the 800 before. She won indoors. So every woman already getting votes here. This is a really exciting event, guys. This might be the most unpredictable event of the whole meet. I could see it going so many different ways. On the Game says, yeah, this 800 is stacked. It is so stacked. On the Game says Bahamas can put together a good 4x4. Lozanola says we need Michelle Smith to show up for the 400-meter hurdles, keep the Caribbean flame going. And she also said, well done, Valcourt. She is a Bahamian. Rather. That's pretty cool. I didn't actually know that. BT Denver says, this 800 is wide open, a handful of past champs in it. All types of people having different seasons. 800 is wild anyways. Yeah, it is an 800 with a lot of experienced runners who have won at this level before. So something's got to give, but I'm excited to see how it develops. BT Denver says, who takes it out? For years, Rose was the de facto pacer against her will. Yeah. Kayla Rose always took things out fast in the 800, so you could count on her for leading. But in this field, I don't know who it's going to be. I feel like Chepnogorich likes to lead, so we might see the Clemson Tiger up at the front early. I could also see either of the Arkansas women, Annalise Batista or Sanu Jallow, leading. Or, I don't know, Haley Kitching could also lead. Penn State likes to run from the front in the middle distance events. We saw that yesterday with Alan Clay on the men's side, but it didn't work out super well for him. So we'll see how Haley Kitching decides to handle this. So last year at this meet, we of course saw Roisin Willis set the meet record. I was there in person, interviewed her after. It was pretty electric. She's a great voice in the sport. She's been through a lot of tough times and has navigated that to be a really successful athlete. Now a New Balance pro. So congrats to Roisin Willis. Hope she's doing well. But right now, it is the 2026 NCAA Outdoor 800-meter final for the women, taking the track as they introduce the athletes on the line here. Meet running 5 minutes behind for those curious. So we should be getting this thing started any second now. KUZE or KAUZE saying Jallow 157. That would be a meet record. That would be pretty crazy. Could happen though, guys. Will we see a sub 158? Let's see who's winning our poll right now. It is Juliet Whitaker winning the poll as we are about to get this 800 underway, and they are off. Women's 800 final on the track. Looks like Michaela Page is trying to get out really strong here. Will she decide to take the lead? We'll see when the women cut in here in a second as they approach the back straight. It won't be Page. Instead, it is Juliet Whitaker and Sanu Jallow going to the front. Sanu Jallow of Arkansas, the favorite of this event, will take control early, and she's looking to make this a fast first lap. Could it come back to bite her, or is she just that much more talented than this field that she can hold them off? Very hard to win an 800 by going wire to wire, guys. Positive splits are almost guaranteed when you go out this fast. 55 flat for the first lap here for Jallow. She's got a half a second gap on the field. Leslie Knoll says, I'm a male, sir. No offense taken. The name is unisex. My apologies. I will try to remember that and get it right going forward. BT Denver says that math checks out. All right, a lot of people predicted Whitaker to win this thing, guys, but she is fading right now. Approaching 200 meters to go. It is still all Sanu Jallow with about a 1 second gap here. Sanu Jallow might wire to wire to this thing, just proving that she is in a class of her own in a stacked field. Haley Kitching making a big move in the back. I don't think she'll have enough to catch Jallow. Sanu Jallow winning this women's 800 after leading from the gun. Haley Kitching making a strong move down the home stretch, which I think will earn her the runner-up second place. But it is Sanu Jallow down to the last 10 meters, and Arkansas will win the women's 800. Sanu Jallow delivers on high expectations and takes the win. Haley Kitching of Penn State, valiant effort for second. Collegiate record is set in a ridiculous 156.85, ladies and gentlemen. We were wondering if 158 would be broken, but how about 157 being broken as Jallo dips under 157 and sets a new collegiate record? Guys, 156.85 is a crazy fast time. And Sanu Jallo did that all by herself, leading wire to wire. Sanu Jallo sets the meet record and the collegiate record and one of the fastest times in the women's 800 ever, 156.85 for Sanu Jallo. Haley Kitching gets a PR in second with 157.65, and it is just a string of PRs here as Jallo leads the fastest women's 800 ever run in the NCAA. This will go down in history as one of the greatest women's 800s ever. Sanu Jallo wins in 156.85. Haley Kitching sets a PR in 157.65 for second. Lauren Tolbert, the Duke Blue Devil, runs 158.22 for third. That's a PR. Michaela Page back and forth running 158.3. That's a PR for her. Annalise Batista running 158.4. That's a PR for her. And Immaculate Gemitai running a PR back in sixth place, 158.5. So this is just a crazy train of PRs here, guys. Can you believe it? 156.85 for Sanu Jallo, winning in dominant fashion, wire to wire. My goodness. That women's 800 delivered. We were just talking before it got going about how this field was stacked. And it delivered as the greatest women's 800 meter race ever contested in the NCAA. There has never been an 800 race in the NCAA this fast overall and in first place. This is just crazy. Arkansas in a really good spot to potentially sweep the team titles. They won on the men's side yesterday, and now they are in a good spot on the women's side, moving up to fourth place, and they still have a lot of athletes remaining. We have All in the Game 01 in the chat predicting that Arkansas could win the women's 4x4 to wrap up the meet later. Leslie Knowles says 156.85. That's world class. It certainly is one of the best 800s ever run by a woman and the fastest ever run by a collegiate woman. Dark Lynn says, man, it's been disappointing to see how Whitaker has done post-Olympics. Yeah, Juliet Whitaker, she's hanging in there, though. She's hanging in there. This race in particular was tough because it was so darn fast. So if you weren't ready to go 156, 157, could come back and get you. That's what happened with Whitaker. She tried to stick with Sanu Jallo early. She paid the price, fell back into the last place position, running 2 flat 0.54. All right, so catching up with the live chat. Short film documentary project says, I hope Hodge breaks the 200 meter as she deserves to, but she may be too tired to break it. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see how Hodge is looking in that 200. I know she'll be looking for revenge and redemption after placing second in an 100 meter final that she expected to win. So thank you to everybody tuning in. We are over 100 current viewers, and we are over 1,000 viewers throughout the night so far. Just over an hour into this live stream, 1,000 people have tuned in at various times, and we've had a solid group in here for the majority of the time. And more than 100 people watching now, but only 31 likes. So if you could hit that thumbs up button, it would help this channel and this podcast tremendously. It's free to do. I know a lot of people think when people ask for, people to subscribe and hit the like button, that it's going to cost you money. It's totally free. It takes next to no time to do it. And it actually helps a lot. and it's how we've been able to grow here on the kick, little by little in our early stages here. But it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. So thank you for joining. As we are between events here with the 400 hurdles next on the track, scheduled to go in 2 minutes, but the meet is a little behind, so it'll be a few minutes until that 400 hurdles event gets underway. Short film documentary project says, come on, wonderful people, give Will some love with the likes. He deserves it. You guys are too kind. This might be the most kind chat we've had in a live stream. Some really supportive comments. I do my best. I mean, short film documentary project, you're in Spain, right? Where it's like a crazy hour. So I think you deserve the likes. Tuning into track action at that hour is commitment as a fan. It's pretty cool. Is anybody following the World Cup or the NBA Finals? A lot of sports going on right now. Appreciate you guys being here for some track. Love to see that. But I know NBA Finals game is underway right now. Let me check the score in that game. I am relatively interested in that. It looks like the Spurs are off to a strong early lead. But they had a big lead in the last game and they blew it, so no lead is safe. But right now the Spurs winning 31-15 on their home court in San Antonio. I'm not a fan of either team, but I feel like I'd like to see the Spurs win at least one game at home here. So they haven't won a game in San Antonio in this series, and they're home tonight. So would like to see San Antonio take the win in front of their home crowd. So I'll say go Spurs tonight, and then maybe Knicks in 6 in game 6 coming up. But we are going to be getting back to the track action in just a moment here, as the scheduled start for the 400-meter hurdles is 1 minute away here. And they are showing beautiful Tracktown, USA on the broadcast. One of my favorite places in the world. I was lucky enough to be there the last 2 years for this meet. If you haven't been out there, find a way to get out there. It's awesome. The running there, guys, it's awesome. Priest Trail, love running out there. Yeah, Shanice Walker won the 100 meters in a bit of an upset over Deja Hodge. All in the game, updating our NCAA record count, saying that 7 NCAA records have been set in these championships, which is a crazy number. It's 3:25 a.m. where Short Film Documentary Project is tuning in from Spain. Gracias. Yeah, gracias to you for tuning in. Hopefully you're able to get some sleep at some point. We've got some exciting events coming up. I think the event I'm most excited for is the 5K later, guys. What do we think is going to happen in that 5K? Jane Hedingren is coming in angry after that 10K. I know she is determined to take the win. So is Pamela Kosgei, as both of those women were upset in 10K. But you've got a fresh Doris Lemongale, who I think has to be the favorite, but I don't know. And then my old teammate from Boston University, she's now doing her grad year at UNC, Vera Whaley. Everybody pronounces her last name wrong. It's spelled like Sjoberg, but it's actually pronounced Whaley. She's Swedish. So got to root for my friend Vera in that 5K. She was runner-up last year, taking second, but it's a little bit of a deeper field this year, so we'll see how it goes. Leslie Knowles saying Georgia should do well in addition to Arkansas. Yeah. Thank you for everybody tuning into the live chat. I think everybody is helping us set a new record here on the kick, so appreciate that. Viewership has been awesome tonight. We've got some momentum here. This is our 4th day in a row going live on the kick. Judany Williston says Haiti 0, Scotland 0. Yeah, so that game is going on in Boston, where I lived for 5 years going to school at Boston University. So I know a lot of friends who are out there. not at the game, but, you know, around the city watching the game and enjoying the vibes out there. I know Scotland has a ton of fans in Boston right now for the World Cup. Leslie Payne says, go, Syra. Kauze says, didn't notice the turnaround time was only 45 minutes between the 100-meter and 200-meter. Yeah, 200-meter is about to get underway here, guys. We're about 5 minutes behind in the meet, but the women are getting on the starting line for this 200. So any second now, they will be getting going. Let's get a poll going for this women's 200 before they get started. Who will win the 200? All right. Oh, I'm sorry. Why was I saying 200? It's the hurdles first. So my mistake. We have the 400 hurdles first. Don't want to get too excited. 200 is going to be after that. So 400-meter hurdles is up first. And they are on the track now. Can we get a pull up for that real quick? See if we can get a pull up really quick for this. All right. Poll is going up now for the women's 400-meter hurdles, and they are going to be underway in just a second. So vote real quick as this women's 400-meter hurdles is now underway. Hopefully I didn't make any typos in the poll for the 400 hurdles. Not an event I am super familiar with this year, but one of my favorite events to watch, as I went to high school in the same county as Sydney McLaughlin. I was a freshman when she was a senior, but she was at all of our meets, and that was pretty cool. She has now become the greatest of all time in this event. All right, so 200 meters in. It's looking like the athlete from Texas, Birdo, is looking strong. But coming around this turn, we're getting a better idea with the stagger who is going to rise to the top. It looks like Akala Garrett is going to open up a bit of a lead on Texas's Amelia Birdo. And it's going to be a fast time here, I think, guys, too. As we come down the home stretch, it's Akala Garrett taking the win. And she'll run 53.32 for the win. South Carolina's Garrett takes the win. And I think she might have won the vote for who everybody thought would win. I know that poll went up last second. But congratulations to Akala Garrett taking the win. Valiant effort from Texas. Birdo in second, and then Syra Prince in third. I know some fans of the Arkansas Razorback in this event. Syra Prince, her teammate was also in this, Morgan Herbst, but she's a freshman. Syra Prince did really well, setting a PR in 54.36 for third, and then Michelle Smith getting some points for Georgia in fourth. Wow, so Leslie Payne, your cousin is Syra Prince. That's awesome. Thanks for tuning in. Really cool to have you here. Syra Prince ran 54.36, so congrats to your cousin taking third place in a PR. Awesome day for her. All right, let's catch up with this live chat. You guys are keeping it coming fast in the live chat with your comments today. So already some predictions for the 4x4. That'll be a great finale, guys, to top this meet off. BT Demers says, I hate to say it, but Jane ain't winning the 5K. I could be wrong, been wrong before. I imagine she tries to force the pace and a bunch of girls get a free ride and roll her at the last 200. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Jane could potentially run fast enough that nobody could stick with her. and that would definitely be favorable to her. But she's got to really run fast for that to happen, and I don't know if she'll have it in the legs after that 10K 2 days ago. We'll see. BT Demmer says Doris for sure. I think Doris Lemongole has to be the favorite. I'm in agreement there. Yeah, hard to beat a fresh Doris Lemongole. Short film documentary project. Yeah, 400-meter hurdles first. I got excited thinking the 200 was next. Now the 200-meter final is next. So nice for those ladies to get a little more rest after competing in the 100 or 4x1 earlier today, or both. All the game said is, I thought Garrett would win easily. She didn't win easily, but she did win, and that's all that matters. But yeah, pretty good race there. And congrats to Leslie Payne's cousin, Cyber Prince, placing third in a PR. Eli Wright says, do we know that Doris is in good shape? Her best time this outdoor season was like 15:10. Yeah, Doris hasn't had the most dominant season, but just given her track record, I don't think you can sleep on her in a national championship. And being there last year when she set the steeplechase record, you just realize the talent that she has. It is insane. So, yeah, we'll see. She might not be in her best shape ever, so that could be interesting to see. But yeah, all in the game saying that it looked like she was basically jogging her steeple 5K double at SECs. So maybe she's saving some time for some faster races, or one faster race here at the NCAA Championships, as she put all her chips on the table for the 5K. All right, guys, we have maintained over 100 viewers in the live stream for the past 20 minutes. So that has been a great steady viewership to have. And we were up to 47 likes. Can we get that thumbs up button to 50? I know we can, because there's 117 of you watching right now. And it is so easy to hit that like button. I know I'm probably getting annoying bringing it up, but we're on a commercial break, so I might as well make a humble request. All right, catching up with the live chat. Cameron Dixon / Gabby Matthews upset in the 200 meters. I feel like, I don't know, would that be an upset? I feel like they're two of the favorites. I know Hodge is like kind of always a favorite, but you know, she didn't win the 100, so I don't know. Let's get the poll for the 200 now. I think this is going to be a very tight poll, and I'm curious to see who you all pick to win the women's 200. Who will win the women's 200-meter final? Will it be Hodge getting redemption? Will it be Matthews of Florida? All right. You know who's also looked really good this meet? Shanti Jackson of LSU. Almost want to include her in the poll. I don't have room if I want to include Hodge, Dixon, and Matthews. All right, if you think that it's going to be somebody other than the three athletes I included in this poll, let us know in the live chat. I think that Shanti Jackson deserves some love. Put some respect on the LSU Tigers name. She has looked very good this meet. All right, so we have 115 people tuned in right now, and we have a new poll in the chat as we lead up to this women's 200 meters. Who do you think is going to win the women's 200? If it's somebody that is not listed in our poll, let us know in the comments who you think it's going to be. O'Neill Spence says, who won the 100? It was Shanice Walker upsetting Hodge with a great race. And the Jamaica fans were going crazy in the chat earlier, so that was pretty cool. All in the Game says Dixon top 3 for sure. Suzanne H says Adasia Hodge will probably win in the 200 because she is motivated by her second place in the 100. Yeah, but was her second place in the 100 due to some fatigue from a busy meet so far? I don't know. Short film documentary project says Hodge is eager to take revenge for sure. I agree that her mindset is definitely one of revenge right now, and we'll see if she can back up her intentions. All in the Game agreeing with me that Shanti has looked good. Yeah, the LSU leader of the sprints, Shanti Jackson, has looked really good this meet. Angie says, Latsile said Gout should stick to his own age group. Are you kidding me? College athletics is where the super fast action is. I didn't see that, Angie. Thanks for sharing that. BT Demmer says Gout doesn't know where to run now. Maybe another year down under. Yeah, saw him at Diamond League struggle a little bit a few days ago. He is in an interesting spot in his career. All right, women's 200 meters, guys. We are seconds away from this getting underway as the women are taking their marks on the track. Adasia Hodge looking very serious and determined here to get after this 200 after her runner-up in the 100. Track and field, JA says Oakley definitely the favorite now for the Bowerman. Yeah, I haven't thought too much about the Bowerman on the women's side because yesterday I was just kind of looking through all the contenders on the men's side. I feel like Jacoby Tharp is the runaway favorite, but a lot of other guys have had great seasons on the men's side, great years rather. Hampton Samuel obviously has been dominant on the distance side. Colin Salmon's been great, but I do think Jacoby Tharp has a pretty undeniable case for the Bowerman on the men's side. What do you guys think? The women are about to get going here in this women's 200 meters as all is still at Hayward Field, ready for this starter to pop these women off to the races. Leslie Knowles says, yes, Shanti should be next to Hodge. Could be a race between those two women for sure. Angie says maybe Hodge was saving it for the 200. I guess you never know, but I think she definitely wanted that 100. All right, and these women are set for the 200-meter final. And they are off, and we are just 20 seconds away from crowning an NCAA champion in the women's 200 meters. Who's it going to be? As they round the turn, Hodge in a great spot. She'll be in the lead going into the home stretch. Can she hold it? Hodge looking really strong with 50 meters to go. And it is going to be Georgia's Adasia Hodge taking the win in the women's 200, following up her runner-up finish in the 100 to win the 200. But some great results behind her as well. It was indeed Shanti Jackson of LSU running a PR for second, but Adasia Hodge sets a collegiate record in 21.68. Ridiculous time for Adasia Hodge. So she's got to be thrilled with that. Another collegiate record goes down here, guys. What do we think about that? Georgia's Adasia Hodge runs 21.68 for the win and the collegiate record. Congrats to Shanti Jackson running 22.12 for a PR in second. Cameron Dixon places third in 22.18. And Gabrielle Matthews 22.29 in fourth. So the four people we were all talking about as the favorites, they go 1 through 4, and it is Hodge alone at the front with a ridiculous time. What do we think about that, guys? Talking about the Bowerman, JW6631 says Jacoby 110%. I like that, considering his event being the 110 hurdles. So that is a cool little double meaning there. I do think Jacoby Tharp is almost guaranteed to win the Bowerman on the men's side. Angie says Gout needs to race competition to get experience. He can't get the competition he needs in Australia. Even if he humiliates himself, he needs what NCAA athletes get all the time. Yes, he does need that competition. That's very important in the development of any athlete. All in the Game says, feel sorry for Habim Samuel and Sam Agazi, the Bowerman, because Tharp will win it. Yeah, Sam Agazi definitely has a case to be made for himself, but it will be hard for anybody to make a case against the world record holder in the 110 hurdles, Jacoby Tharp. BT Demmer says 100% reminds me a little of Ed Cheserek, wins distance titles and no Bowerman. Samuel has the times and no records too. Or has the times and records too. Yeah, he does. A lot of collegiate records though going down. So a world record beats a collegiate record when it comes to Jacoby Tharp. Suzanne called it. Collegiate record here in the women's 200 as Adeja Hodge takes the win in a ridiculous time, 21.68. That is crazy. Takes down Abby Steiner's record from her time with Kentucky. JW says she needed that win. Yeah, I think she did, just for, being the runner-up in the 100. She needed that win in the 200, but she didn't just get the win. She also got the NCAA record, so pretty cool. Leslie Knowles, he says, yep, it's a world record. Jacoby. Yeah, Jacoby Tharp, I think the favorite for the men's Bowerman. All in the Game 01 says, called it with Dixon and Shanti and Hodge. Yeah, we were pretty right on who we thought was going to be in the mix for the women's 200. All right, short film documentary project from Spain commenting, congratulations, Caribbean Power. I knew Hodge would break the world record after the defeat, or not the world record, would beat the record, NCAA record, after the defeat. Proud of her. Congrats to her. Blood Pain says Adeja is in both 100 and 200. Top 10 all-time fastest. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty cool. Claim to fame. Judyn Wollaston says Hodge was always a better 200-meter runner, although her 100 times are ridiculous lately. Yeah, what do you guys think? Is Hodge better at the 200? I mean, today's performance says yes. Leslie chiming in saying, it early, if these college kids run the Diamond League now, the pros would look bad. I mean, speaking of running the Diamond League at a young age, Cooper Lutkenhouse dominating the Diamond League right now, and he is a rising senior in high school. Pretty crazy. On the Game saying Georgia 6 points ahead of Oregon with 3 events to go. So yes, let's take a look at the team scores here as we get to the last few events of this meet. Georgia leads with 42 points. Oregon in second with 36. Florida in third with 31. USC in fourth with 30, and Arkansas in fifth with 28. So it will likely be one of those 5 teams taking the win here. And we will see how these final 3 events play out with the 800, with the 5K and 4x4 coming up. We have an 800 for the heptathlon first. But then it's going to be 5K time here. One of the marquee events of this entire meet, the women's 5K, with a lot of intrigue. Excited to see that one go down. So we have one more former guest of the Kick competing tonight, and that will be Jadyn Keeler in the 5K. She placed 6th 2 days ago in the 10K. I think she's slightly better at the 10K. So we'll see if she can snag another All-American here in the 5K. Best of luck to her. BT Demmer says, or I already read that comment. JW says she's better at the 200, referring to Adeja Hodge. Certainly feels like she made that clear today. Darkland says Cooper mentioned. Yeah, Cooper Lutkenhouse. Hard to not mention Cooper Lutkenhouse on a live stream these days. He is ridiculous. I was running with a couple of old high school buddies this morning, actually, and we were talking about Cooper Luckenhouse and how if this was an Olympic year, he would probably be the favorite to win the 800. That'd be pretty crazy for a high schooler to be the favorite for a gold medal at the Olympics in an event like the 800. All in the Game 01 says Juliet Cherubit doubling back from 1500 in the 5K really needs to score for Oregon. Yeah, they will be counting on Cherubit to get them some points there in the 5K, but I don't like Cherubit's chances in this field to get very many points. Maybe she can get a few, if any, though. I mean, we saw how it went with Simeon Birnbaum doubling back from the 1500 yesterday. He dropped out of the 5K. Very tough double. It can be done. You can go one of two ways. But with this field, it will be very difficult for Oregon to get any points in that 5K. Although they are really hoping that they can. Yeah, DH Hammond 96 says Julia Cherubit with a chance to be a hero for Oregon. She would be a massive hero for Oregon if she could get big time points in this women's 5K. But that is going to be hard to do in this stacked field of the women's 5K. Let's check in on that NBA Finals score, guys. It is halftime, and the Knicks have closed in on the Spurs a bit. Just a 5-point lead for the Spurs at home in San Antonio right now, and a must-win game for the Spurs. 42-37 at the half. Pretty low-scoring game to start. As we are between events here, and we have the women's 800-meter heptathlon event coming up, let's get some fun polls going, just for fun, not super track related, but let's do one for the NBA Finals. Who are you rooting for in the NBA Finals? Knicks or Spurs, guys? Poll is live now. Curious to see where your allegiance lies on the basketball scene, if you care at all. Already some votes coming in, so I guess people here on the kick do follow basketball, at least somewhat. A lot of Knicks fans tapping in, but a good amount of Spurs fans as well. It's been a good series there. I think this meet will wrap up just in time. I will catch the fourth quarter of that game, so hopefully it's still a good game, and I'll check that out. Right now, there is a heptathlon 800 getting on the track. Not an event that I am super familiar with, but I have massive respect for these athletes. So versatile. They are so well-rounded. Vince Crankine 4684 says Adasia Hodge just added her name into a dream field that could finally break FloJo's record. Melissa Jefferson, Shikari, Julian Alfred, Shriek Jackson, Elaine Thompson. Yeah, I think Julian Alfred is going to be the one to do it. We shall see. All in the Game 01 says will be embarrassing if Spurs can't win a home game. Yeah, that would be. I feel bad for the Spurs fans. You know, they lost 2 in a row to start the series in San Antonio, and I feel like they deserve a win. All right, so Heptathlon 800 is on the track right now, guys, and in just a few minutes, we will have the 5K, and we will be going absolutely crazy for the women's 5K. It might be the event I personally am most excited to watch go down. What about you guys? All right, in the live chat, Dark Lynn says, I don't know anything about basketball, but I voted, LOL. Well, thank you for participating in the vote. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. All right, so women's heptathlon 800 about to wrap up, and then we are going to have the women's 5K on the track. Very excited for that, guys. We are 3 minutes away from the women's 5K. All in the games, or let me. D Hammond 96 says Ella Rush just finished second in the heptathlon and probably sealed the deal for Georgia. Well, isn't it still going? I guess section 1 of the 800 finished. Section 2 is about to wrap up. That's cool though. Ella Rush, congrats to her. Yeah, that's big for Georgia. On the Game 01 says a 34-year-old Elaine isn't breaking the 100-meter world record, missed her window in 2021. She may have aged out. 34 is unfortunately getting up there when it comes to elite athletics. Short film documentary project says, thanks for kicking it, Mr. Willie Kick ARP. Great commentary. Have a good night, you lovely folks. Keep kicking it, y'all. Keep it kicking, y'all. Blessings. Short film documentary project, thank you so much for tuning in. I know it's ridiculously late in Spain, so appreciate you tuning in. Have a good night. Yeah, get some sleep. Thank you for the recommendation. I believe you're a teacher, if I remember correctly. Thank you for the recommendation for keeping my voice going with some honey and lemon juice in my water. Honestly, it tastes pretty good, and it's definitely soothing my throat. So thank you, Short Film Documentary Project. Really appreciate you and your kind words. All right, guys, women's 5K getting on the track any second. So we are going to wrap up this non-track related poll that I threw up here for the NBA Finals. Thank you for those of you who voted in there, even though I know not all of you are following basketball. Spurs actually won that poll. Not too many people voted though, so not sure what the majority of you really think. All right, starting a new poll. Who will win the women's 5K? Again, this is one of those events that has way too many contenders to include all of them in the poll. There are 24 incredible athletes in this women's 5K. I'm going to include 3 that I think a lot of people will vote for, and then an other option. If you vote other, let us know in the comments who you are thinking has what it takes. I hate not including my good friend Vera in this poll. I think she definitely has a good shot at All-American and maybe even like a top 4 or 5 finish. You never know. But I don't think that you can consider her one of the top 3 favorites, even though she was the runner-up last year. She lost to Pamela Kosgei by less than a second last year, and we were going crazy. I was there in person, celebrating with my coaches. It was awesome. But I don't know that you can really put her in that conversation to win this one this year. So poll is now live for who will win the women's 5K. Let us know in the comments if somebody who is not in the poll is your pick to win. And the women are on the track now for the 5K, doing their final strides. Hey, there's Jadyn Keeler, former guest on the Kick. She is on screen right now doing some strides next to Jane Hedengren. And that is a funny view to see because Jane Hedengren is on the taller side and Jadyn Keeler is on the shorter side. So there's a lot of height difference there. So just funny to see that, but both incredible athletes. All right. Leslie Knowles, he says, I have to go with the Knicks for Spike Lee and Stephen A. Lord help the Knicks to win the NBA Finals. I think the Knicks will win the NBA Finals. I just don't know. I don't think it'll be tonight. I think the Spurs will get one tonight. And then I think it'll be Knicks in 6 in the next game back at Madison Square Garden. I think the Knicks will take it. All in the Game of One says Ella Rush doesn't score for Georgia in the half, finishes out of the top 8. Oh, wow. Someone had called her as scoring, so that's surprising. Suzanne says Doris Lemangele is fresh, but Kosgei and Hedengren aren't, so I think Lemangele will win. I think Doris Lemangele is my pick as well, if I had to pick. But this could go so many ways, guys. The 10K shocked us, Everybody was picking Jane or Pamela. And then it was a shocker from the Iowa State athlete, I believe Keeler, if I'm getting her name right. But that was awesome. That was a shocker. Big upset. All right. All in the game saying it's going to come down to Georgia and Oregon for the team title. Juliana has no doubt, no question, it is going to be Doris for sure in this women's 5K. We shall see. Jane is actually leading our poll right now. All in the game says Doris to outkick Jane like it played out in 10K with Kieran Kosgei. I could see that, but don't you think that Jane and Kosgei are going to be very wary of allowing that to happen again after what happened on Thursday? You know, will they learn a lesson from that? I don't know. Or will they be too fatigued from the 10K to really do anything about it? D Hammond 96 says the 4x4 may decide it. That would be a lot of fun if the 4, it probably will with how close this team score is. But always fun when the team title comes down to a 4x4. All right, a lot of votes coming in here for predictions for the women's 5K. Everybody getting votes, but the leader right now is Jane Hedengren. 46% of you picking her to win this women's 5K. Women's 5K is going off any second. They're 5 minutes behind in the meet right now, but they're about to start the 5K. Thank you to everybody tuning in. I think we are going to reach a new peak viewership for this women's 5K as it is one of the most highly anticipated events. So we are going to be on our best commentary reacting to this women's 5K. I'm excited. I hope you are. Here we go. Women's 5K. They're on the track, ready to be called up to the starting line. And any second now, this is going to get underway. We have 110 people currently watching. If you are here watching, hit that like button, hit the thumbs up button. It takes next to no time and it is free to do. Please do so. It goes a long way. Hit the subscribe button if it's your vibe. And we are going to commentate and react live to this really exciting women's 5K. There's my friend Vera Huaberry on the line representing UNC. She was my teammate for 4 years at Boston University. Great person, great athlete. We'll be rooting for her. All right. Catching up with the live chat. Eli Wright says, I'm voting for the upset with Kosgei winning. Could happen. Definitely could happen. All in the game 01 says, too fatigued likely. Yeah, for Kosgei and Jane, they will be fatigued from that 10K. Suzanne says Jane is probably going to take it out fast, so a fast kick can't pass her in the last lap. I think that should be what she does. That should have been what she did in the 10K. Did she learn her lesson? We'll see. Angie says world lead for Hodge. Pretty cool. CC MSJ is back to hear the rivalry play out. Oh, it's going to be good. And D Hammond 96 says you're doing a fantastic service to track fans. Thank you. And with that comment, we get things underway here in the women's 5K. Thank you so much for those kind words. I'm going to do my very best in this women's 5K. I am struggling a little bit with my voice after 4 days straight of commentary, but I am still going to give it my all. And I really appreciate everybody for tuning in here. It is Jane Hedengren, no surprise here, going to the front, but not super aggressively, as she actually is going to maybe let somebody pass her here, or she's just trying to keep it super slow. Hard to tell what Jane's plan is here. She's way out in lane 2, and it's Pamela Kosgei on the inside, or that is actually Marian Chepnagenic of New Mexico, her teammate. She is currently in the lead, not Kosgei. All right, guys, so I'm super excited to watch this one unfold. My friend Vera is in this one, was a teammate with her at BU for 4 years, and then now she's doing her grad year at UNC. She was the runner-up last year in this event, but this field this year is even a little more stacked. And going to the lead now, it is the one member of this field who was a guest on our show, on our podcast, and that is Jadyn Keeler, taking the lead here in the 5K. She took the lead in the 10K on her way to a 6th place finish. She is a very aerobically strong runner who doesn't have maybe the strongest kick, and she knows that, and she doesn't like tactical slow races because it doesn't play into her skill set. So University of North Dakota's Jadyn Keeler leading this 5K early, and we love to see that confidence from our former guest here on the kick. Have you guys listened to Jadyn's episode on the podcast here? She's awesome. It was a great episode. A lot of great insight on her mindset, especially representing a smaller school like North Dakota. Keeler Wright says, doing more for Jane than Jane is. Yeah, Jadyn Keeler keeping this honest. Love to see it. Really cool to see somebody that we had right here on the kick leading an NCAA championship. She was 6th in the 10K 2 days ago, and she is such a confident and strong athlete. If the field doesn't want to go fast, she is not afraid to take the lead, and that's exactly what she's done. Suzanne says, yes, Jadyn. Let's go, Jadyn Keeler. Can she get another All-American finish here to follow up her All-American from the 10K on Thursday? She was the first ever All-American athlete, at least in track, from the University of North Dakota on Thursday, finishing 6th in the NCAA. She is more of a 10K runner than a 5K runner because of her limitations in her closing speed. So that's why she is taking this 5K out faster. With 10 laps to go, she remains in the lead, pushing this field faster than they wanted to go without her in the lead. BT Demmer says, strong choice. Always found it silly when folks just sat around mid-pack knowing they didn't maybe have the kick. Be an active participant in the race, not just pack fill. Her 10K was solid. Well said, BT Demmers. I couldn't agree more. I do think so many athletes just concede the race because they're too afraid to lead. And it's not just Jadyn in this race. There's other runners in this race who should not want this to come down to a kick. But Jadyn Keeler is making the bold choice to say, I'm going to do something about it, as Keeler continues to lead this race and keeps it honest here. 9 laps to go. They crossed the line in 4:18 here. So my good friend Vera Waberry also in this race. She is pretty far back in the pack right now, but a lot can change in a race like this, as all the women really are still in it, hanging with the pace that Jadyn Keeler is setting. It has been a hot day out in Eugene, Oregon, but hopefully it is starting to cool down a little bit. The heat can really get to these distance runners, as they have a table set up on the track in lane 3 with water cups for these athletes should they choose to take it. So it's University of North Dakota being represented by the great Jadyn Keeler in that famous underdog Kelly Green. So Jadyn Keeler still leads this thing with 2 miles to go, or about 2 miles to go here, as they approach 8 laps to go here. Just about 2 miles to go in this race, and Jadyn Keeler continuing to lead. Have you guys listened to the episode with Jadyn Keeler on our podcast? It's a great one. It is one of our most listened to episodes, and rightfully so. A lot of listens on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, as well as some views here on YouTube. Very, very happy to see Jadyn leading, as Jadyn now steps out to lane 3 to grab a water cup. It slows her down a little bit, but she does not want to give up the lead. So Jadyn Keeler grabbing a water cup, but still maintaining the lead here as she takes a drink of water. She is just such a confident leader here, and you love to see that. Jane Hedengren was the predicted winner in our poll. We'll have to see how these later laps go. All in the games. There's so much sport this weekend. Yeah, it has been crazy. I mean, World Cup, NBA Finals, and of course right here, the NCAA Outdoor Championships. Juliana says, can you give us their 1600 and 3200 splits for those of us who aren't watching live? We missed the 1600 split. Apologies for that. I will try to get you the 3200 meter split, but right now they have cut to the high jump, and they're showing us what went down in the high jump today. So we are not currently seeing the 5K on screen, unfortunately, and I hope that they return to the 5K action soon. BT Demmer says, clicked off a few 71s. That's sub 15 pace after the slow opening lap. More than quick enough to thin the pack out. Thank you for the splits, BT Demmers. Yeah, pretty cool that Jadyn Keeler is leading this race to be fast. She benefits from that. She does not want lots of people hanging around with a lap to go who can outkick her. She wants to make them hurt now and hopefully open up a gap and really thin the field out. And that's what she's doing as we return to the action here on the track. 6 laps to go here. Jadyn Keeler still leading, guys. Starting to thin this pack out. You'll love to see it. Jadyn Keeler making the field hurt. Doing all the work here in this women's 5K. So Jadyn Keeler says, you know what? I want this race to be fast. I want to start to thin this field out. And I'm going to do it myself if nobody else will. Just like the 10K 2 days ago. She is boldly leading this thing. Doing all of the work. On a hot day in Eugene, Oregon. Representing the Kelly Green of the Fighting Hawks for North Dakota. As she chases after her second All-American finish of this NCAA Championships. Leading this race here as we approach the later stages. Kudos to Jadyn Keeler for the work she is doing. Jane Hedengren looking like she might be ready to make a move here, guys. She steps out to lane 2. And with 5 laps to go, Jane Hedengren making a decision to go a little bit earlier than she did on Thursday in that 10K. I think it's a smart tactical move for Jane. As 5 laps to go, Jane Hedengren takes the lead. Jadyn Keeler remaining right behind her, holding on to this pace. Jadyn Keeler fighting hard to stay with the leader, Jane Hedengren. You have to respect it from Jadyn Keeler. She is such a gritty racer and hard worker. Does all the work for the first 10 minutes of this race. And now still trying to fight to stay up there. Does not want to fade. And you know that she is hurting here, guys. You can see it in her face. Doing everything she can to stay tough here. Approaching the last mile of her NCAA career. Jadyn Keeler hanging tough. And we are rooting for her to stay strong here. I know this is not easy for Jadyn. She set the hot pace and did the work early. 1 mile to go here, folks. It is Jadyn Keeler who led this race for so long, but she is starting to fade as Jane Hedengren leads the field. Pamela Kosgei moving into second. And Vera Huaberry, my friend and old teammate from BU, representing UNC strong, in a position to potentially get an All-American finish. So what do we think, guys? Jane Hedengren benefiting from the hot pace that Jadyn Keeler set. I think this plays into the hands of Jane Hedengren, the collegiate record holder in the event. It serves her well to have a fast pace. But Pamela Kosgei looks like she is comfortable hanging with her here. 1K to go here, or approaching 1,200 to go here, rather. My mistake, as we approach 3 laps to go. My goodness, Jane Hedengren trying to separate from the field, but having trouble doing so. I think she is surprised that this pace is not too much for this field as they come through with 3 laps to go, 11:44. This is going to be a fast race, guys. We could definitely see a meet record go down. I was in person when that meet record was set 2 years ago by Parker Valby. She ran 14:52 for the meet record, and that could go down here as they are going to have to make this a fast finish for any separation to go down. Pamela Kosgei taking over leading duties here. Jane Hedengren not being able to separate from this field in the way I think she hoped to with 5 laps to go. Juliana Dudas says current temperature in Eugene is 86 degrees Fahrenheit. That is a crazy hot temperature. Insane that these women are running so fast given how hot the temperatures are in Tracktown, USA. Credit to all of them. You can see that they are all hurting. Jadyn Keeler just hanging tough in there, guys. Absolutely incredible running from our former guest on the kick, Jadyn Keeler. She led so much of this race and she is still hanging in there strong. All in the Game says Juliet is desperate to score for Oregon. See, she certainly is, but I don't know that she will be able to. She is currently out of scoring position, but not too far off. Jane Hedengren is fading a little bit here, guys. She drops back into 5th place. So who's it going to be in this one? Jane Hedengren fading a little bit. Jadyn Keeler fighting to stay in an All-American spot. Jane Hedengren trying to make this too fast for the field, but can't do it. With 5 laps to go, she tried to separate and she couldn't quite do it. So Jane Hedengren fading, guys. I don't think she's going to be in contention for the win here as we approach the bell lap. And we hit the bell here for the women's 5K. And it isn't Pamela Kosgei taking the lead. It is instead Alabama's, is it Doris Lemengele? I can't tell. So Doris was patiently waiting this whole race as we thought that she would be the favorite with her fresh legs. So separating from the field right now, it is Doris Lemengele looking strong. Doris Lemengele going to enter the home stretch in the lead. Pamela Kosgei trying to track her down, but I think the fresh legs and extreme talent of Doris Lemengele is going to carry her to the finish line in first. Doris Lemengele going to win the women's 5K in 15:11. Pamela Kosgei takes second. What a run from Doris Lemengele. We thought that her fresh legs could cater to a win here. She patiently waits the whole race, never taking the lead until the end. Just kind of hanging in there, guys. Could almost say we forgot about her, but that would be foolish as she is one of the greatest distance runners in NCAA history, going all in for the 5K this year. And she wins the women's 5K in 15:11. Congrats to Doris Lemengele of Alabama. Roll Tide. So Doris Lemengele puts all her chips on the table for the women's 5K, and it pays off. Congratulations to Doris Lemongole taking the win here. Wow. So let's go through those final results here. It was Doris Lemongole winning in 15:11. And wow, it wasn't Kosgei in second, guys. It was another New Mexico athlete, her teammate Marian Jepnigenich. From the angle they were showing at the end there, you could not decipher as they were focused on Lemongole, of course. But Pamela Kosgei actually fades, and her teammate Marian Jepnigenich takes the runner-up position. So Lemongole in first with the 15:11, Marian Jepnigenich in second with 15:13. Merceline Kirwa follows up her 10K win with a third place in the 5K. So a great meet for the Iowa State athlete. Judy Chepkoech in fourth with a 15:14. Betty Kipkore of Iowa State in 15:14. Pamela Kosgei falls to sixth in 15:15. And man, Jane Hedegren fell all the way to 10th place. Just not her meet here, guys, but she is only a freshman. We have to remember that. Hilda Olomomwe of Florida with a solid 7th place finish. Edna Chalutle of Eastern Kentucky in 8th for the final All-American spot. Fortunately, Jadyn Keeler did fall to 13th place after running a bold first couple of miles. Excuse me. Sorry for the live stream sneeze. That's my second time ever sneezing on the live stream. Try to avoid that at all costs. Juliet Cherubit took 11th for Oregon, so doesn't get the points that the Ducks were looking for. Vera Huaberry, my friend, unfortunately places 15th. I know she was looking for more than that, but it was a hot day in Eugene, guys. The heat can really mess with people, especially with a fast race. It's going to really take the life and energy out of some athletes, and they made this fast despite the heat. Doris Lemongole reigns supreme. Her fresh legs definitely help her here. Yeah, all in the game says Merceline Kirwa's double was really impressive. Suzanne says really impressive showing from Kirwa the freshman. I agree. This has been a great meet for her. Although, even though she's only a freshman, I think somebody said she's 25 years old the other day. That's pretty crazy. Alan Knight says, what are the top 10 finishers? I think that comment was before I gave them, but if you'd like to hear them again, let me know. But I did just go through the top 10 finishers. Kirwa runs a personal best for third after doubling back. D. Hammond 96 says, Oregon, Florida, and Georgia in a duel of the team title in the 4x4. Yeah, I feel like you want to go Georgia, right? They're in the lead and they have a great 4x4, so I feel like Georgia has to be the favorite here. I don't think Oregon has a squad in the 4x4, so I could be wrong, but I don't think that they have any more points to be scored here tonight. All in the game says, Jane reminds me of Paula Radcliffe, great aerobic engine, but lacks elite level closing speed. Well, that's surprising, though, because Jane should have very good closing speed given her mile time, and she is fast. So I'm surprised that her kicks haven't been better lately. Maybe it's just a matter of being a freshman and needing to work on that. We'll see as the years go on. KAUZE says that Kirwa is 26 years old as a freshman. Yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy, guys. Bill White says, sounds like the heat was a big factor in the 5K. It certainly was. They had a water table set up where people were taking cups of water, and you could just see it on their faces, guys. It made things tough. Doris Lemongole really just kind of snuck in there. You know, she was staying very relaxed and just out of trouble for most of the race. I don't think I even said her name until the last lap, even though I was picking her to win. She was my pick to win, Doris Lemongole, with the fresh legs and the crazy talent she has. But she just, silent killer there. Last lap, takes off. And my goodness, Doris Lemongole takes the 5K title here. Retail Ripper says, what time is 5,000 meter for mountain time? It just happened. Unfortunately, you may have just missed it, Retail Rippers. We just witnessed a crazy 5K where Doris Lemongale took the lead with a lap to go and took the win. Jane Hedengren, who was a big time contender for the title, fell way out of contention, not even getting an All-American finish. And then let's see, Doris Lemongale says, All in the Game says Doris Lemongale is an NCAA distance goat. Yes, she might be the greatest steeplechaser on the women's side ever. I mean, she has the record, so easy argument to make there. And definitely one of the greatest distance runners of all time in the NCAA. Congrats to Doris Lemongale. Roll Tide. Yeah, everybody's saying the heat was definitely a factor. I have to agree. So, guys, we have the team title on the line here in the women's 4x400 meters. It's going to be the Georgia Bulldogs fighting to hold on to their lead. They have 42 points right now, but the Florida Gators are just 4 points behind with 38. So you know that the Gators are women on a mission here in this final event of the meet. The Florida Gators come into this 4x4 down 4 points, and they will be trying to beat the Georgia Bulldogs, who are one of the favorites in this event. Arkansas, I think, the overall favorite for the women's 4x4, but Georgia and Florida will be battling it out. Georgia definitely has the advantage here with a 4-point lead. Florida would have to beat them by more than one spot. So Florida counting on another team having a great race in between them and the Georgia Bulldogs should they win. KAUZE says Jalo split 49.4 in the 4x4 off a 158 PB. So curious to see how she does here. Yeah, I mean, Sanu Jalo is incredible. What an 800 she ran earlier for the collegiate record. That was incredible. All in the Game says Batista and Jalo both look good in the 800 meter. We'll split something nice in the 4x4. Yeah, I mean, they've got to be pretty tired though too. But yeah, they've proven that they can double back very well. Juliana Duda says, Jana's looked very depleted, tired, not relaxed last several meets though. She's already thin, maybe just needs more reserve in the tank, but to be truly competing at these really long races. Yeah, I think with Jane, she's had a really long season, and she was quoted 2 days ago saying that she is looking forward to a break. And when you hear an athlete who's so competitive say that they're looking forward to a break, you know that they really do need a break, because she is not a woman who is always looking for a break. When she says she needs a break, means she really knows that her body is tired, and I think that might have shown a bit, especially in this 5K today. So hopefully Jane is able to hit that reset button and come back stronger. She is only a freshman. It was still a phenomenal freshman year campaign for Jane Hedengren. Indoors at the NCAA Championships, she absolutely dominated. Outdoors is a little bit of a different story here. But that's the way it goes in the NCAA. Just because you're the favorite does not mean you are going to win. So women's 4x4 is underway here. And the second legs get the baton, and we're going to get an idea of who's in the lead here as they will be cutting in as they round the turn here. And it is no surprise that Arkansas is in the lead. But what we were really watching out for is Georgia and Florida. And right now it is the Georgia Bulldogs in second with Florida in third. So Florida going to have to maneuver their way around Georgia, and they know that. Their second leg makes a big move to pass Georgia's second leg. So Florida will go into the third leg with the lead on Georgia, but they will need to hold on to that, and another team will need to get between them to make this thing interesting. for the team race. So my goodness, the Arkansas Razorbacks are way out in front, so far in front that the camera is only on the Razorbacks right now, but we need to see the rest of this field because the team title is on the line between Florida and Georgia, as it looks like we're getting Florida back into the view here in second, but Georgia is already looking like they are ready to take second place back from the Gators. Florida going to have a lot of work to do on this anchor, as they are going to be passing the baton to the fourth legs here. Florida Gators get the baton in third now, as the Georgia Bulldogs are in second. As long as this Georgia athlete can hold on to second, they will win the team title. And it doesn't look like Florida has any chance of passing Georgia at this point. But we are all watching Sanu Jallow absolutely annihilate this field here, guys. Let's watch the clock, because Sanu Jallow does not look like a woman who has run the amount of events she's run at this meet, let alone a 156-800 just about an hour ago. The meet record is 317.96, and Jallow has a chance at going after that. She will miss the meet record, but she will win in convincing fashion. 318.88 for the Arkansas Razorbacks. So a solid run for them. The Arkansas Razorbacks should improve their team score here to probably move up into third overall, behind Georgia, who wins the women's team title. Florida will finish second, and Arkansas will finish third overall for the women's team title here. But in that 4x4, it was all Arkansas ending the meet with a bang. Georgia places second. Florida falls back to sixth here. So does Florida have a chance of getting passed by Arkansas for the team title? Florida's anchor leg really faded there. It looks like Florida will hold on to second. So your final women's team standings go Georgia with the win with 50 points, Florida in second with 41, and Arkansas in third with 38. I can't believe it, folks, but we have made it to the end of the 2026 NCAA Outdoor Championships. 4 days of live streaming here on The Kick. Thank you all for joining. My voice needs a rest for sure, but let's catch up with this live chat. I want to go out with a bang here. A couple more minutes I'll stay on live here, and then I'm going to go catch the end of this NBA Finals game, which it looks like the Spurs will be leading going into the fourth quarter. But what a championships here, guys. NCAAs did not disappoint. Let's catch up with your comments in the live chat before we wrap up. Yo, girl, Vani says Sanu got this in her sleep. Yeah, she really does. Sanu Jallow is absolutely phenomenal. What a performance at these championships. I feel like she's got to be a woman of the meet here. Leslie Knowles, he says the Gators should be no match for Georgia. They were no match for Georgia. D Ham 96 says 4 points. Yep. All in the Game says that's how. Now 6 NCAA titles for Doris. What an NCAA career for Doris Lemongole. She has been phenomenal. All she does is win. Yo girl Vani says let's go Nunu. All in the Game 01 says Batista 49.93 split coming off the 800 meters. Yeah, that's ridiculous. To be breaking 50 after running 156 an hour ago in the 800. I mean, she is absolutely incredible. Yes, Sanu Jallow Lockhart. Your girl Vani, are you friends with Sanu Jallow Lockhart? Sounds like you're a big supporter. That's pretty cool if you are friends with her. She is phenomenal, so congrats. Whether you are just a fan or a friend, you have a lot to celebrate because she had an incredible meet. Oakley threw down a 48.79 split in that 4x4. That's incredible. Track and Field JA says, thank you very much for your stream. Thank you for joining. This has been fun. I can't believe we are actually nearing the end here. What a meet it has been. My goodness, guys. 4 days in a row. Emily McLean says, no, not the end. Emily, thank you for tuning in. I don't think I've seen you in the comments very much, so I appreciate you tuning in and leaving a comment here. Really appreciate that. Track and Field Jay says, enjoyed it. Big up yourself, G. Thank you so much. KAUZE says, Arkansas now have the 6th best times in the 4x4 history. That's crazy. What dominance from the Razorbacks. On the Game of One says, Arkansas runs 2nd fastest NCAA time ever. Yeah, they were close to the record there. On the Game of One says, Arkansas is quarter miler U. Yeah, they are 400 U. Bill White says, you're welcome. Jadyn E. Wollaston says, thank you so much. Excellent commentary. Wish I could like this 1,000 times. Come on, guys, hit the like button. He deserves it. Come on, let's go before you go. Wow, thank you so much for the support. Jadyn E. Wollaston, 1921. That's one of the best comments to receive as we wrap up here. That means a lot. Makes me feel good about what we've achieved here on the kick and the NCAA championships that we all enjoyed together here. On the Game of One says, Georgia wins team title by 9 points from Florida. Yes, a dominant showing for the Georgia Bulldogs as the women are being crowned NCAA champions right now as their head coach, or their committee chair, I guess it says. The committee chair of the NCAA is presenting the head coach of the Georgia Bulldogs with the trophy. So congratulations to your 2026 NCAA Outdoor Track Champions on the women's side, the Georgia Bulldogs. And before we go here, I will ask anybody who still hasn't subscribed to the kick, feel free to do so. It is free, takes next to no time. And if you're still here in this live stream, it means you enjoyed something about what we do here. So it doesn't hurt to hit that subscribe button. And I think we might set a record here for most likes on a live stream, as we are up to 75 of you who hit that like button. That tops what we got yesterday, I know, on the men's side. So thank you to everybody for hitting the like button. And I think this is it, guys. We are finally at the finish line, breaking the tape for the NCAA Outdoor Championships. Follow us on Instagram. I will put the Instagram in the chat at the Kick Podcast. So if you are on Instagram, follow us there, subscribe here. And if you listen to podcasts on Spotify, we're there. If you listen to podcasts on Apple Podcasts, we're also there. So thank you so much. We are 2.5 hours into this stream. It was actually nice. These final days went a lot quicker than the first 2 days. I forgot that is the case. Those streams were well over 4 hours, and those were some late nights. But I'm going to be heading out soon here, guys, because the NCAA Track Championships have concluded, and we're about to enter the 4th quarter of the NBA Finals Game 5 between the Spurs and Knicks, so I want to go catch that. But please, On the Game says up to 313 subscribers. Yes, thank you for those of you who just hit the subscribe button. Greg and Kay says, thanks for the coverage. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much for your kind words, everybody. On the Game says, had a great time. Get some rest, bud. Yeah, I will get some rest now. On the Game, shout out to you. You were our #1 commenter in live chat over the past 4 days. So you definitely helped keep this live stream hopping and energetic, as well as knowledgeable with a lot of the intel and insight you provided. So with that being said, guys, this is the Kick, a Runner's Podcast. I'm your host, Will Loggia. I love running and I love a good kick. And I really appreciate everybody for joining. Zoe Abigail, you're a little bit late asking, did the women's 5K already start? It actually concluded as did the entire meet. But I will quickly recap that 5K for you if you are curious. The women's 5K was won by Doris Lemongole of Alabama, who came in with fresh legs. And now, wait a second. Guys, big news coming here. Doris Lemonglet has been DQ'd from the women's 5K. What happened? Does anybody know what happened here? Zoe Abigail asking if the women's 5K had started, and I was just about to recap it. I go back to check the results, and it says Doris Lemonglet has been DQ'd. I absolutely hate to see that. What happened there? Doris Lemonglet is no longer listed as the winner of the women's 5K. If anybody is still here, it looks like we have 30 people still viewing. And it looks like Doris Lemonglet has been disqualified after winning the women's 5K. I'm hoping that this is a mistake, but it looks like it is confirmed. Doris Lemonglet, for some reason, disqualified from the women's 5K. That means Marian Jepnigenich of New Mexico would get the title. But guys, I can't wrap my head around why Doris would be disqualified. If anybody else is seeing what I'm seeing, check the results. It looks like Doris Lemonglet has been disqualified. She won the 5K on the women's side. It was a great celebration for her and for the Alabama team. Coming in fresh to the 5K, she put all her chips on the table for this 5K. Didn't contest the 3K, steeplechase, and put all her chips on the table for the 5K. Ran a phenomenal race through the heavy heat of Eugene, Oregon right now. She had an awesome last lap. What happened that led to her disqualification? I don't understand this, guys. And I am bummed to hear that. I have become friendly with Doris over the past few years, working at NCAA Championships. I've interviewed her multiple times. She is a class act and one of the nicest people you will ever meet in the sport. And she is also a phenomenal talent and hard worker. So I absolutely hate to see that she has been disqualified. I was just about to hit the end stream button, and then I noticed that Doris has been disqualified. So I'll stay on for a minute here as we figure out what the heck is going on here. Why was Doris Lemonglet disqualified for the women's 5K? I do not understand it. I do not like it. I absolutely hate when something like this happens. What on earth caused the DQ for Doris Lemonglet in the 5K? I know a lot of people tuned out of the live stream here, and rightfully so. I thought everything was wrapped up, but for anybody who is still here, we have around 40 people still here. Does anybody know why Doris Lemonglet was disqualified from the women's 5K? I'm going to do some research myself here. What on earth happened? I'm not seeing any news on it right now. All I'm seeing is that on the results page, Doris Lemonglet is listed as disqualified. I wonder if we have anybody in the chat who knows what happened here. All in the Game is probably the most knowledgeable person that we have for sure still here. So Leslie Knowles said goodnight. Appreciate Leslie for joining. Okay, DMB 9923 says results say steps on or over the curb. Oh, come on. Are they kidding me? I mean, obviously stepping over the rail should be a DQ, but I didn't see it. I wonder how blatant it was. And she annihilated everybody in that last lap. She clearly was the deserving winner. It's not like she cut the course. One step on the infield, if that's what it was, that would really be frustrating. Doris is a class act, guys. I'm telling you, I've talked to her several times, and she is a great athlete, but also a great person, and she would never intend to cheat in any way. So, from what I know, and obviously, even unintentional steps on the infield can lead to a DQ, but this is just terrible. All in the game says 2+ steps on or over the curb. What? Did she get pushed out onto the inside? Like, she wouldn't. Ugh. Emily McLean says no. I'm with you, Emily. Really hate to hear this news about Doris Lemongole getting disqualified. That really shakes things up here, as the 5K was really kind of the premier event, I feel like, with so many big names in it. And Doris Lemongole delivering a phenomenal race and then getting DQ'd is just terrible. My heart breaks for Doris because she is one of the sweetest, kindest people in the sport. She got interviewed post-race thinking that she won, all smiles, absolutely poured her heart and soul into that race, went to the well to grab that win, 15:11 in a ridiculously hot day in Eugene, Oregon, and then gets disqualified. Okay, on the game says has been protested. So does that mean that Alabama is protesting the DQ to try to reinstate her as the winner? I hope so. I mean, this is just ridiculous because I also feel bad for Marion Jepniganich, who was now awarded the winner, and I'm sure everybody's telling her you won now, and she's getting excited, and then it could get protested and overturned. Just a disaster here for the women's 5K. I really hope that they, as quickly as possible, can handle this and reinstate Doris Lemongole as the winner. Okay, come on. I want to wrap this live stream up, but I can't do it until we know what happened here with the women's 5K. Fourth quarter has started for the Knicks Spurs game. I am actually going to turn that on my TV to watch that because they're not showing anything else for the track meet on the broadcast. We are going to find out about the 5K result in another way. So I'll be commentating the NBA Finals fourth quarter of this Game 5 here between the Spurs and Knicks in the meantime, while we wait for any kind of development in that women's 5K DQ. Knicks have the ball here, and they are down 9. They hit a big 3 and closed the gap to 6 points. It's 77-71, the Spurs lead, with 9 minutes to go in this fourth quarter. Spurs looking to win their first game of the series in San Antonio. They won one at MSG, and they answer with a 3 of their own here. So the score is 80-71. Spurs lead the Knicks here with just under 9 minutes to go. And I am going to monitor our live chat with any updates that you guys have on the women's 5K. Really want to hear if Doris Lemongole is awarded the win and they fix this disqualification. I'll definitely be watching later. I'm sure the footage will go circulated around about her stepping on the infield, but hate to hear that. So hopefully Doris Lemongole is the champion as she deserves to be. I'm watching the Spurs-Knicks game here as we wait for the protest to go through the processes that it needs to go through. And right now it is Spurs 80, Knicks 71 in this NBA Finals. I think we also have a track meet going on in LA right now. Isn't it the LA Grand Prix? I believe you need USATF TV, like a subscription to that, which I don't have currently, to watch that. But anybody following the LA Grand Prix right now, I believe it's a 2-day meet today and tomorrow. So, gonna check on the LA Grand Prix as well. It looks like that meet is still going. Events are in progress. Oh, up next is a huge race. It is this men's steeplechase, and that has a lot of big athletes. It actually had our very own Christian Noble, my old assistant coach at BU, who we've had on the podcast here, but he is not going to be racing from what I hear tonight. So that's unfortunate. But James Corrigan, who was an NCAA favorite in the steeple, who didn't end up qualifying for the NCAA championships, he's racing in that 3K steeple, which is going off now in LA for the Grand Prix. So big 5K going down in LA as well on the women's side, at least. I don't know about the men. I think, yeah, the men have a big one too. Checking the lineup: Cooper Tier, Liam Murphy, Abdelhamid Nur, Drew Bosley, big names in the men's 5K. And then, of course, in the women's 5K, Parker Valby headlining that one as she follows up her big time return to the track where she set a PR at the LA Track Fest. All in the Game 01 says, yeah, LA Grand Prix is streamed live on World Athletics Channel. Is that free? I know USATF TV, like you need a subscription. The World Athletics Channel, though, is that free to everybody? All right, so does anybody have any updates on Doris Lemongole? She was disqualified a few minutes ago from the women's 5K, but there is a protest, so we're hoping that they reinstate her as the rightful champion. Oh, okay, so the World Athletics platform is free. By creating an account on the World Athletics streaming platform, you can access free live streams of track meets. So it sounds like we could tune into the LA Grand Prix there. It's going to be a late meet though, right, guys? Because it's like a night meet and it's on the West Coast. So for me, that like those 5Ks are probably going to be going down at like a very, very late hour. But I might after this NBA Finals Game 5 have to tune into the LA Grand Prix. Who knows? Maybe I'll go live for that. No, I think I'm gonna probably just watch it on my own and then go to bed because it's so late. But yeah, rooting for Parker Valby in that 5K. There's nobody I've interviewed more because when I was working for the Stride Report at NCAA Championships, she always won, and my job was always to interview the winner. I interviewed her like probably 10 times. And those were always a lot of fun. My most famous interviews to date are definitely with Parker Valby. And good to see her back on the track as she has navigated some injuries. All right, NBA Finals, guys. I've got that on my TV right now. The Spurs lead 80-71 with 8:51 to go. They are going to the free throw line for two. Stephon Castle going to be taking two shots here. He misses the first. So Stephon Castle going to be looking to extend the lead to double digits and go up 81-71 here with his second free throw here as the Spurs look to win Game 5 here on their home court in San Antonio. Any updates on Doris Lemongole, please let me know. She was disqualified from the women's 5K after winning, and there is a protest, so I really hope that it's successful. If we don't get any more information soon on Doris, I'll probably end the live stream just because I don't want to drag things on if we don't know when we're going to have an answer. But definitely crossing my fingers that everything is handled properly. I didn't see the step on the infield that they're saying Doris made. I don't know how egregious it was. All in the Game says, got to take it to Game 6. Yeah, I hope that the Spurs win here. I'm not a fan of either team, but just so that the Spurs can get a win in front of their home crowd. And I like to see the series continue. You know, just as a fan of the sport, it's fun to see more NBA Finals. And if the Knicks were to win tonight, it would be over. So, and I feel like Knicks fans shouldn't mind going back to MSG in New York for Game 6, and they can shoot for their beloved Knicks in 6 slogan to come true in front of a home crowd. So 83-73 is the score now in this NBA Finals Game 5. A stoppage of play here for, I am not sure why they are stopping play. I think Landry Shamet slipped and fell and is suffering a little bit of an injury, and that's why we have a pause in the game here. Emily McLean says, if you could keep recapping basketball, track, and World Cup, that would help me out. That's funny. It's a lot of sports going on right now. World Cup, let's check on the score between Scotland and Haiti, which is going on in Boston right now. It looks like Scotland is in a position to win as just a few minutes remain in that game. Scotland leads 1-0 over Haiti, and I think they are going to win this first game here in Boston. Scotland has a ton of fans taking over the city of Boston right now, so they will be thrilled to celebrate their team beating Haiti today. And you better believe that Boston is going to be wild tonight if these Scotland fans are out and about in the city celebrating a win in the first game of the World Cup for their country. So yeah, Scotland beating Haiti 1-0. Looks like they will win as they have passed the 90th minute here in that game. Back in San Antonio, I am watching Jalen Brunson at the free throw line. He misses the first. He gets the second. So 83-74 is the score here. Cutting the lead to 9 are the Knicks. Spurs trying to hold on here to game 5. So Jalen Brunson at the free throw line. He has 3 shots here and he hits the second and third. So it is 83-75 here in San Antonio. Emily McLean says, above and beyond, thank you. I'm doing my best. This was a track live stream. The meet has ended at NCAA's, but we have a lot going on as we're waiting to see if Doris Lemengale is reinstated as the champion of the women's 5K after being disqualified. There is a protest that is currently going down, and we are now watching the NBA Finals Game 5 as the Knicks cut the lead to 6. 83-77 the score with 7 minutes to go here. I am not a fan of either team, but I have to say I'm rooting for the Spurs to hold on just so that we get another game, and I think the Spurs fans of San Antonio deserve a win at home here in this series. Angie says, great podcast. Thanks. Look forward to the next one. Thank you, Angie. You are a real one. G. Sierra Schneider says, what happened to Jane? Middle of the pack. Tired? Injured? She was up towards the front for a while. With 5 laps to go, she took the lead. Held on to it for a couple of laps, but you could just tell she didn't have it in her to extend the lead. All the women were sticking with her. And then she faded in that last 600 meters. It just was not her day, was not her meet. She is only a freshman, and I know she has had a long season. She's looking forward to a break, and she will get that soon. She'll get that right now. And I think she is obviously bummed about not being able to win an NCAA title outdoors, but she is just a freshman, and you have to remember that even though she is one of the best runners in the NCAA already, she is still only a freshman. So guys, any updates on the Doris Lemengale situation would be appreciated. From what I'm seeing, it's still a protest for Doris Lemengale. She's currently disqualified. I mean, I hate to see that. Doris Lemengale, to my eyes, won that thing fair and square. I didn't see the step onto the infield though, so maybe it was egregious. I don't know. But man, oh man, is that a shocker to see Doris disqualified, as they were celebrating that win. We were celebrating that win for a good while before noticing the disqualification. I feel really bad for Doris. She looked so happy and proud, and she had put all her chips on the table for this event. So seeing her get DQ'd then like 20 minutes later was pretty brutal. You know, they interviewed her after. She had no idea that she was disqualified at first. So just rough to see. Kind of counting on all in the Game 01 here, honestly, because that's where a lot of our intel has come from in this live chat, but I don't know if there are any updates to be had in the Doris Lemengale situation. We will stay live for a couple more minutes hoping that there is an update. Let's check back in on the Grand Prix meet that's going on in LA right now. The men's steeplechase just went down, and Yassine Sato of the US did win in a PR of 8:15, so congrats to him. The next event on the track at the LA Grand Prix looks like it will be a wheelchair 100 and a Paralympic or para 1500 meters, and then some more 1500 meters. And that 1500 meter A heat has some big names: Abel Tefra, Isaac Baston, Walid Solomon, Ethan Strand, Luke Hauser, Ali Hoar. Some big names in that 1500. So big meet going on at the LA Grand Prix. The finale will be 5Ks on both the men's and women's side, but it's going to be pretty late for me to stay up for those. All right, guys. So we are currently done with the NCAA Outdoor Championships, but we are still waiting for Doris Lemongalay's disqualification to be protested and see if they reinstate her as the winner of that event. It seemed like she should be the winner, so we'll see. But currently I am now watching the NBA Finals Game 5 between the Spurs and Knicks in San Antonio, as we just wait for any news on the Doris Lemongalay situation. But right now it is the San Antonio Spurs leading 83-77 with 6:50 to go. No lead is safe against these New York Knicks. Jalen Brunson with the ball right now as the Knicks have possession. Brunson, top of the key. He'll dribble out to the left, holding the ball for a while here. And Brunson is one-on-one with Wembanyama now. He drives in on Wemby. Wemby tries to block him, does not get a piece of it, and Brunson finishes strong at the rim. 83-79, a 4-point game now as the Spurs get possession. De'Aaron Fox with the ball. De'Aaron Fox using the screen from Wemby, but nowhere to go as he passes it off to Champagnie. Champagnie pump fakes a three and drives to the hoop. He loses the ball. Everybody on the floor. Brunson gets the ball. And now the Knicks get possession, down 4 with 6 minutes to go. It's 83-79, and the Knicks have the ball with a chance to really cut into this lead here. San Antonio Spurs fans are silent, nervous that their NBA Finals run could come to an end here if the Knicks are to pull off a comeback. It's Karl Anthony Towns pulling up from deep, and Cat's 3 won't go. That would have been big for the Knicks, as De'Aaron Fox has the ball with the Spurs here, taking it up. Spurs wasting time right now, but I think they need to focus on scoring, as wasting time will not do anything against a team like the Knicks. And Wemby called for an elbow, an offensive foul here. That will cost them the ball, and it will cost Wemby a foul. I'm not sure how many fouls he's up to so far, but basically Wemby got possession of the ball here. He goes up for it strong, and then as he's coming down, he bumps into, was that Alvarado of the Knicks? I'm not sure who it was. Or was that Josh Hart? Not 100% sure. They went to commercial, but that's going to be under review as Wemby doesn't believe it was a foul. Not sure if it was, but Spurs starting to get into a dangerous position here as the Knicks are only down 4 and may have the ball after a Wemby foul. This is becoming an NBA Finals podcast as we have wrapped up the action at the NCAA Championships. G. Sierra says, thanks for the updates and this service. It's fun to be involved. Cheers. Doing my best here. You know, I would have wrapped this live stream up about 20 minutes ago when the meet ended, but we had major news with Doris Lemongalay getting disqualified from that women's 5K that she won. So we're just waiting to see if the protest is successful. Does anybody know? And All in the Game says DQ has been confirmed for Doris, unfortunately. And on my results as well, the protest has gone away. It says the scores are final. Doris Lemongalay has been disqualified from the women's 5K, ladies and gentlemen. And that is tough to see. Doris Lemongalay won in an incredible run in that 5K. That 5K, winning that thing, took everything she had, and it was a hot day in Eugene, Oregon. It was a stacked field in that women's 5K. Pamela Koske, Jane Hedengren, Vera Hwaberry, Jadyn Keeler, a who's who of the NCAA 5K, and Doris Lemeglet rose to the top. But unfortunately, something resulted in her getting disqualified. We'll have to watch that back later, but I absolutely hate to see it. Really bummed for her. Congrats, I guess, to Marian Jepnaganich, who ran a great race for what should have been second, but she gets the title now. I'm sure she is happy with that, but it's a little bit bittersweet when it is a NCAA title that comes from a disqualification from the true winner. So I don't want to say too much about it until I watch what the disqualification maneuver actually was, what Doris's step on the infield really looked like. But all I can say is I'm bummed to hear that. Doris Lemeglet, a class act, and she won a really exciting 5K, so to see her get disqualified is tough to see. But let's end on a positive note here, guys. This has been 4 days of being live for the NCAA Outdoor Track Championships here, and you guys have been awesome. It's been a blast. I'm the host of the Kick, a Runner's podcast. My name is Will Loggia. It's been a pleasure spending time with you guys. Go watch the NBA Finals. It's an exciting Game 5 right now with just 5 minutes remaining. The Spurs are up 4 minutes at their home court, and that's pretty exciting. World Cup is going on. Lots of exciting sports going on right now. There's still some more track going on tonight with the LA Grand Prix. So we'll be seeing how those 5Ks go later. I'll probably be watching just before I go to bed, so I don't think I'll go live for those. But it is tempting with the fields. I mean, that women's 5K, guys. Nikki Hiltz, Parker Valby, of course, Sydney Vaught. My goodness. Carissa Schweizer. I mean, Parker Valby means a crowd. You know that is going to have all eyes on it because, man, was her return to the track exciting a couple weeks ago at the LA Track Fest. 14:49 for the win and PR. So exciting stuff happening in the track world. But today it was all about the NCAA here on the Kick. We had some great races for the women's finals day. And I'm going to go wrap this thing up and enjoy the end of Game 5 of the NBA Finals. I hope you all have a great rest of your night or whatever time of day it is, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for joining. I'm Will Loggia, the host of the Kick, a Runner's podcast. And until next time, thank you so much for joining. One love.